Chapter 1055. This is the breeze immortal claw. Lu Dongzi said calmly. He knew that Ning Cheng was just talking nonsense. In fact, everyone here knew that Ning Cheng was just talking nonsense. But what he said also made sense. It was just a name. If you called yourself Zhang San, why would he call yourself Zhang Si? After all, this wasn't a test of the medicinal properties of the divine herbs. If it was a test of medicinal properties and effects, then Ning Cheng's trick obviously wouldn't work. Lu Dongzi didn't worry about it. He knew all 5 divine herbs. Even if he didn't know them, he could just casually name them like Ning Cheng. The first round was already a draw, but the second round was the real test of skills. If he didn't guess wrong, the second round should be a test of medicinal properties. How could you fake it? Not only did Lu Dongzi understand this truth, but the others also understood it. When everyone heard Ning Cheng say the names of the divine herbs, they all sneered. It was as if they were watching a clown perform. No matter how good one's performance was, one's true colors would eventually be exposed. If Kong Lianbo didn't even have the ability to expose Ning Cheng, he wouldn't be able to stand in this place. People who treated others as fools were the real fools. In the end, Lu Dongzi recognized the 5 divine herbs as Heavenly Fox Double Leaf Scale, Breeze Immortal Claw, Silver Ring Fruit, Sakya Flower, and Rosy Red Wings. Ning Cheng, on the other hand, recognized Foxtail Grass, Chicken Claw Vine, Silver Arc Green Fruit, Two-Colored Flower, and Sunset Leaf. None of the divine herbs recognized by the 2 were the same. This made everyone in the hall aware that Ning Cheng didn't recognize any of these 5 divine herbs. Fortunately, the names of the last 3 divine grasses were still pleasant to hear. It wasn't as shameless as the first 2 names. The Purple Robe Man also realized that Ning Cheng's rogue method couldn't determine a winner or loser in the first round. After both of them said their names, he simply said, the first round ended in a draw between Association Master Lu and Pill Master Ning. Now, let's move on to the second round. Ning Cheng felt slightly relieved. If the second round was about refining primordial Dao pills, he would have just admitted defeat. He believed that since this purple-robed man came up with a question, he would have considered the difference between him and Lu Dongzi's Tao of Alchemy. Even if they wanted him to lose, they would make him lose willingly. At least everyone would think that it was fair. The second round of the competition is alchemy. I invite Guild Master Lu and Pill Master Ning to refine a furnace of pills. This batch of pills would use these 5 kinds of god grasses as the main spirit herbs. Each main spirit herb could be supplemented with less than 10 other kinds of god grasses. What kind of supplementary divine herbs to use, and how many of them to use, were completely up to one's own will. If there were difficulties, sovereigns wouldn't necessarily use up all of the herbs. The final evaluation criteria were as follows. Firstly, who used the most of the 5 main god herbs in front of them. Secondly, who used the most supplementary god herbs. Thirdly, whose pill was of a higher grade. The duration of the competition is 6 days. It starts now. When the purple-robed man finished speaking, everyone in the hall was secretly shocked. It wasn't that the competition's questions were too easy, but that they were too difficult. This wasn't concocting pills, but deducing pill recipes. In order to deduce a pill recipe, one had to be very clear about the effects, characteristics, and origin properties of all the divine herbs. Not only that, but one's understanding of alchemy must also reach a certain level. No one could cheat when deducing pill recipes like this. If one tried to play tricks like Ning Cheng before, it would be a dead end in this place. Deducing pill recipes was a real skill, and one couldn't just make up the numbers. According to the rules, one could use up to 50 supplementary divine herbs for the 5 main spirit herbs. 55 kinds of divine herbs. If used to refine medicinal pills, it would be best to refine Dao transformation spirit pills. Of course, both of them were deducing pill recipes, not ready-made pill recipes. Using 55 types of divine spirit herbs to deduce the elixir formula of a Dao transformation divine pill within 3 days was not difficult, but it was almost impossible to accomplish. What's more, there was only one chance. If one failed, they would lose. Ning Cheng and Lu Dongzi both surpassed the level of ordinary Dao transformation pill deities. Therefore, this question was considered fair and just. Of course, absolute fairness didn't exist. Lu Dongzi's alchemy Dao level was far better than Ning Cheng's. The higher one's alchemy Dao level, the easier it would be to deduce pill recipes. When this question came out, everyone knew that Lu Dongzi won. Even if Lu Dongzi couldn't deduce the pill recipe, with his understanding of these 5 kinds of divine herbs, as long as one of them could be added into the pill, he would be much better than Ning Cheng. Lu Dongzi didn't care about Ning Cheng. After hearing this question, he directly brought out a dark brown pill furnace and began to concentrate on deducing the pill recipe. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath. This question wasn't too far from what he had guessed. If he wanted to obtain the universe grass and wood, this was his only chance, and he had to rely on his mysterious yellow formless. Ning Cheng raised his hand and also brought out a pill furnace. In the hall, only a few people looked at Lu Dongzi. On the contrary, most people's eyes fell on Ning Cheng. They all wanted to know how Ning Cheng would continue to make a fool of himself. After seeing Ning Cheng really bring out a pill furnace, some people felt a little puzzled. Of course, no one would think that Ning Cheng really knew these 5 kinds of divine herbs and just had different names. When everyone saw the name of the pill furnace that Ning Cheng brought out, some people couldn't help but laugh out loud. Primal Chaos First Furnace? Could this pill furnace also be called the Primal Chaos First Furnace? Among the alchemists sitting in the hall, this pill furnace was much better than Ning Cheng's. If Ning Cheng's was called the first furnace of primordial chaos, then wouldn't theirs be called the first furnace before primordial chaos? Ning Cheng directly activated a restriction and blocked all the sounds around him. This match was very important to him. Losing face was a small matter, but it was not only related to whether he could obtain the universe grass and wood, but also related to Si Chen Qiu-Tian's alchemy Dao heart. Once he failed, he would become a clown. If Si Chen Qiu-Tian could only explore the alchemy Dao with a clown, his alchemy Dao heart would only become more and more unbalanced. Ning Cheng picked up the first divine herb, Heavenly Fox Double Leaf Scale. But he didn't throw this divine herb into the pill furnace. Instead, he held it in his hand and poured his entire spiritual consciousness into the divine herb. Ning Cheng deduced the origin information of the divine grasses one by one. At the same time, the Heavenly Fox Double Leaf Scales lay in Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness as if they were stripped of their clothes, allowing Ning Cheng to capture the essence of heaven and earth within them. Heavenly Fox Double Leaf Scale did not belong to the 5 elements. It was a wind-attributed divine herb and contained the aura of wind-attributed laws. However, it had a fiery yang nature, making it extremely difficult to fuse with the 5 elemental divine herbs into a pill. After learning this information, Ning Cheng felt extremely surprised. Generally, divine herbs that contained the laws of heaven and earth were all Dao fruit-level divine herbs. Heavenly Fox Double Leaf Scale looked like it had no law aura on the surface. Ning Cheng didn't expect that such an unremarkable divine herb would turn out to be a law-related divine herb. From the looks of it, this question had a big trap. If he performed beyond his level, it wouldn't be impossible to refine a Dao sculpting Dao pill out of 55 divine herbs. Clear Wind Immortal Claw also didn't belong to the 5 elements. It was also a wind-attributed divine herb, but its nature was the opposite of the Heavenly Fox Double Leaf Scale. It had an extreme Yin attribute and was a law-related divine herb. Old Man Kong taking out these 2 kinds of divine herbs was very interesting. Did this fellow already know that he would talk nonsense in the first round? Silver Ring Fruit, a metal-attributed divine herb. It didn't contain laws, but it had a murderous nature and a tearing effect. Sakya Flower, a non-attributed divine herb. It had a greatly progressive effect on laws. When Ning Cheng deduced that the Sakya flower was non-attributed, he thought that he had made a mistake. As a primordial Dao pill saint, he had seen tens of thousands of divine herbs, but he had never seen a non-attributed divine herb. Although he knew about non-attributed divine herbs, this was the first time he had seen one. Holding the Sakya flower, Ning Cheng almost didn't want to put it down. Non-attributed as if it had no laws. He immediately thought of the bestowing lawless fruit, a Dao fruit that absorbed the laws of heaven and earth but had no laws. Unfortunately, the Sakya flower didn't contain any laws. Otherwise, its value would have definitely reached the top of the top. The Grand Change realm truly lived up to its reputation. Ning Qing had witnessed it from the bottom of his heart. Even the few divine herbs used in the competition had shocked him so much. The last divine herb, Rosy Red Wings, sounded like a wind-attributed divine herb, but it was actually a wood-attributed divine herb. Moreover, it was a genuine auxiliary divine herb. When he finished deducing the 5 divine herbs, Ning Qing found that 3 days had passed. The purple-robed man had only given him 6 days to refine pills. But now, it had taken him 3 days to deduce the divine herbs. In fact, he only had 3 days left to create pill recipes. Ning Qing casually glanced around. Sure enough, apart from Si Qin, Qiu Tian, and a few others, most people's eyes were focused on Lu Dongzi. Lu Dongzi's furnace continued to emit hot steam. Apparently, he had already started refining the medicinal pills. This pill recipe creation process was different from ordinary pill refining. It was normal for a divine herb to take a few hours to melt. Ning Qing sighed in his heart. This was the difference. It wasn't that Lu Dongzi had a deeper understanding of the Tao of alchemy than him, but that Lu Dongzi had the book, Interspatial Plants. According to the book, Lu Dongzi didn't have to deduce the role of divine herbs like him. However, Ning Qing didn't worry about losing. He could deduce the attributes and functions of divine herbs by himself, which was more intuitive and clear than reading the book. Heavenly Fox Double-Leaf Scale and Clear Wind Immortal Claw were both laurelated divine herbs. One had a yang attribute, while the other had a yin attribute. Ning Qing decided to refine a furnace of Tao sculpting Tao pills. This Tao sculpting Tao pill was a Tao pill for comprehending wind-attributed spirit techniques. 55 divine herbs. Refining a Tao sculpting Tao pill obviously lacked many auxiliary and neutral spirit grasses. But Ning Qing believed that with the help of the mysterious yellow formless, he should be able to do it within 3 days. If not for the mysterious yellow formless, he wouldn't have dared to challenge Lu Dongzi. The mysterious yellow formless allowed him to deduce far better than other cultivators. Moreover, because the mysterious yellow bead's origin was complete, he could easily grasp the origin essence of various divine herbs, which would greatly shorten his deduction time. On the surface, the Tao of alchemy was about condensing the essence of heaven and earth origin. On the way to the void city of the 5 realms, Ning Qing had repeatedly deduced various pill recipes. But because he didn't have any Tao fruits, he didn't refine them. But now, he was refining a Tao sculpting Tao pill, which was much simpler than the primordial Tao pill he deduced before. Chapter 1056. Tens of thousands of divine grasses combined in Ning Qing's sea of consciousness, combining them again and again. At this time, Ning Qing's entire mind merged with these deduced pill recipes. As time passed, Ning Qing deduced hundreds of pill recipes over the past 3 days, but he still couldn't feel confident about refining a Tao sculpting pill. If he had a few more batches of these divine grasses, and given more time, Ning Qing believed that he could definitely deduce a Tao sculpting pill with these 5 divine grasses as the main spirit grasses. But now, he didn't have much time. 6 days were almost up, and Lu Dongzi's pill furnace started to emit a pill fragrance. Ning Qing, on the other hand, hadn't touched the pill furnace since he brought it out. Or rather, apart from kneading the 5 divine grasses in his hands, he didn't make any other movements. Although he brought out the first primal chaos furnace, it still hadn't lit a fire. Some people started to shake their heads. They knew that Ning Qing would lose, but they didn't expect Ning Qing to lose in such an ugly manner. 6 days were about to pass, but Ning Qing hadn't even put the divine grasses into the furnace. It was simply too horrible to look at. At this time, no one looked at Ning Qing anymore. Everyone's eyes fell on Lu Dongzi. Lu Dongzi's pill techniques were even more continuous. Even those who didn't understand alchemy understood that Lu Dongzi's medicinal pills were about to take shape. Ning Qing sighed and raised his head from his state of immersing himself in the deduction of the pill recipes. Then he saw several medicinal pills fly out of Lu Dongzi's pill furnace and fall into a jade bottle on the side. Lu Dongzi sighed. Just then he saw Ning Qing's gaze and spoke up calmly, Pill Master Ning, I've finished refining my medicinal pills. There are still 2 hours before the end of the competition, but why haven't Pill Sage Ning started yet? Although Lu Dongzi spoke in a flat tone, Ning Cheng could still hear some disdain in his tone. No one mocked Ning Cheng. Instead, everyone looked at Lu Dongzi's jade bottle with envy. It wasn't that Lu Dongzi's medicinal pills were good, but that Lu Dongzi's Tao of alchemy had reached a height that others couldn't reach. In 6 days, he deduced a new pill recipe and successfully refined a batch of medicinal pills. How many people could compare to his Tao of alchemy? Ning Cheng secretly admired Lu Dongzi in his heart. If not for his good fortune treasure, he would have been far inferior to Lu Dongzi. In view of Ning Cheng's sophistry, although the purple-robed man looked at Ning Cheng, he did not speak. After all, the 6 days were not up yet. Ning Cheng ignored Lu Dongzi. Although he appreciated Lu Dongzi's attainments in the Tao of alchemy, he had no choice but to defeat Lu Dongzi. According to his plan, he wanted to refine a cauldron of Tao sculpting pills. If he managed to refine a Tao sculpting Tao pill, then Lu Dongzi would definitely lose. However, Ning Cheng hesitated for a moment before deciding not to refine the Tao pill. He was not confident that he would be able to successfully refine the Tao pill that he had deduced. His confidence was at most 20%. If he refined a batch of Tao sculpting divine pills, he had 80% confidence. He had 60% confidence in refining a cauldron of Tao birth divine pills. What a pity! As long as he had 1 more day, he would have been able to raise his Tao sculpting Tao core to 40%. With a 40% chance of success, he would be able to refine it. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng decided to refine a furnace of Tao nourishing divine pills. Since Lu Dongzi refined them into pills, they were at least Tao sculpting divine pills. If he also refined Tao sculpting divine pills, even if he succeeded, he might not necessarily win. Just when everyone thought that Ning Cheng would wait until the time was up and directly admit defeat, Ning Cheng shot out a snow-white flame. He then took out another 50 kinds of divine grasses and piled them up on the side. Then, Ning Cheng threw these divine grasses into the pill furnace one by one. Ning Cheng finally started to refine pills. At this time, the few people who wanted to speak quickly stared at Ning Cheng's movements. Soon, everyone felt surprised. Ning Cheng's movements were like floating clouds and flowing water, without the slightest bit of delay. It was completely different from when Lu Dongzi was refining pills, where he had to think for a long time about a single divine grass. Not only that, but Ning Cheng also threw the 50 kinds of divine grasses he had taken out into the pill furnace. Not only that, but Ning Cheng also threw the 50 kinds of divine grasses he had taken out into the pill furnace. Some people understood that Ning Cheng and Lu Dongzi had used 2 different methods. Lu Dongzi used the method of refining while deducing. Ning Cheng's method was to first deduce the pill recipe and then refine it directly. One had to say that Ning Cheng's method was more difficult. No matter where you were, practice was the most important method of deduction. Ning Cheng didn't need to practice. After deducing the pill recipe, he could directly refine it. However, this method was very dangerous. If there was even the slightest mistake and he couldn't control it, this furnace of medicinal pills might directly turn to waste. Without needing to consider the Tao charm of the divine grasses, Ning Cheng felt much easier to refine them. Not only did he add all 5 kinds of divine grasses into this furnace of medicinal pills, but he also managed to refine them smoothly. Even after half an incense stick worth of time, Ning Cheng didn't encounter any difficulties. Just when Ning Cheng integrated the silver ring fruit's medicinal liquid into it, the medicinal liquid essence in the entire pill furnace suddenly turned violent. It felt like a bomb about to explode at any time. Ning Cheng felt shocked. He couldn't let this medicinal liquid explode. Once the medicinal liquid exploded, it would destroy his furnace of medicinal pills. Ning Cheng cultivated the dark nether devouring spirit scripture. Therefore, he had another method at this time. That was to use his spiritual consciousness to forcibly grab the silver ring fruit's medicinal liquid and crush it. In this way, he would only use 4 kinds of divine grasses for this furnace of medicinal pills. With the Tao of alchemy powerhouses here, whether a Tao raising spirit pill used all 5 kinds of divine grasses or not, others could easily find out by crushing them. Only the 4 kinds of divine grasses were secondary. The main thing was that he needed the silver ring fruit to deduce the pill recipe. Without the silver ring fruit, it would be equivalent to failure. The medicinal properties of the silver ring fruit appeared in Ning Cheng's consciousness. The silver ring fruit was a metal-attributed divine grasses. Although it didn't contain any laws, it had a murderous nature and a tearing effect. But why did adding this kind of divine grasses into the medicinal liquid produce such terrible consequences? Ning Cheng didn't have time to think about this problem. He didn't hesitate to integrate the medicinal liquid essence of the rosy glow wings. If he thought about it any further, the medicinal liquid essence would explode. The silver ring fruit had a metal-attributed attribute, while the rosy glow wings had a wood-attributed attribute. Ning Cheng quickly integrated the medicinal liquid essence of the rosy glow wings, but he had no other choice. To Ning Cheng's surprise, as soon as the rosy glow wings integrated into it, the violent aura instantly stabilized. He just needed to control the pill charm of the spirit pill. Although Ning Cheng was performing alchemy within the restrictions, the people around him still felt that Ning Cheng's furnace of medicinal pills had almost been destroyed. Regardless of whether Ning Cheng's furnace of medicinal pills had almost been destroyed or not, most people's views on Ning Cheng had already changed. Ning Cheng could refine a furnace of medicinal pills to such a degree. Whether he won or lost, Ning Cheng was a person with true ability. Ning Cheng, however, started to wonder why such a situation occurred just now. He had ignored the Tao charm of the Heavenly Fox double-leaf scales and the clear wind immortal claw. This greatly reduced the difficulty of his alchemy. Moreover, these 2 herbs and the herbs he added would not cause the violent aura of the silver ring fruit to overflow. Moreover, the auxiliary divine grasses, the rosy glow wings, couldn't possibly be a bad thing. It was an important divine grasses to salvage this furnace of medicinal pills. The only thing that could ruin it was the Sakya flower. That's right, the Sakya flower was a non-attributed divine grasses that could greatly increase the effect of laws. Originally, refining a Tao sculpting Tao pill wouldn't have such a significant effect. It's just that he reduced the medicinal pill to a Tao nurturing spirit pill and used higher-grade divine grasses to refine a lower-grade spirit pill, which consumed part of the medicinal liquid essence. The consumed medicinal liquid essence prompted the eruption of the silver ring fruit's medicinal properties. The rosy glow wings was an auxiliary divine grasses added to quell this eruption. The wood-attributed divine grasses directly ground away the sharpness of the metal-attributed silver ring fruit and finally formed a pill. The key point was that this was his first time using a non-attributed divine grass, which meant that he didn't have enough confidence in the Sakya flower. Fortunately, he didn't choose the Tao sculpting Tao pill. Otherwise, he would have died an ugly death. With that kind of violent aura, coupled with the Tao charm of laws, even the rosy glow wings couldn't stop the furnace from exploding. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng sucked in a breath of cold air. By this time, he felt sure that the purple-robed man already knew what kind of medicinal pill these 5 divine grasses could combine into. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken out the auxiliary divine grasses, the rosy glow wings. None of these old fellows were weak. Unfortunately, he joined the rosy glow wings a little late. Ding ding dang dang. 12 blue lights flew out of Ning Cheng's pill furnace and fell into the jade bottle that Ning Cheng had already prepared. Ning Cheng put the jade bottle on the table in front of him and said to the purple-robed man with cupped fists, "I've also finished refining. Senior Kong, please judge." Ning Cheng still felt some regret in his heart. Because he didn't control the silver ring fruit well, it made him join the rosy glow wings a few breaths late. This furnace of medicinal pills wasn't perfect, and he only obtained 2 top-grade spirit pills. According to his estimation, this furnace of medicinal pills had at least an 80% chance of producing top-grade spirit pills. Not bad. The purple-robed man nodded. There was still half an hour before the end of the 6 days. In other words, Ning Cheng finished refining this furnace of medicinal pills within half an hour. The purple-robed man waved his hand, and the jade bottles in front of Ning Cheng and Dong Su landed in front of him. He then opened the 2 jade bottles and poured out a medicinal pill from each of them. Although the purple-robed man didn't cover the jade bottles, no one used their spiritual consciousness to peek into the jade bottles. After an incense stick worth of time, the purple-robed man suddenly took out 2 jade plates and poured the 2 bottles of medicinal pills onto the jade plates. Now, everyone can take a look at the medicinal pills refined by Association Master Lu and Pill Master Ning. After obtaining the purple-robed man's permission, everyone's eyes and spiritual consciousness fell on the 2 jade plates. After a while, most people's gazes turned shocked. The purple-robed man spoke up. Just now, Association Master Lu and Pill Master Ning refined Tao Nurturing Spirit Pills, with 12 finished pills, 2 top-grade medicinal pills and 10 top-grade medicinal pills. Moreover, both of them used all 5 kinds of divine grasses from the first round of the competition. You can say that they can deduce the pill recipe in 6 days and successfully refine Tao Nurturing Spirit Pills. This level of alchemy Tao, even in the entire 5 realms, stands at the peak. Everyone remained silent. Before the second round of the competition, absolutely no one thought that Ning Cheng and Lu Dongzi would be able to refine the same pill, because it was simply impossible for them to do so. It wasn't that Lu Dongzi couldn't do it, but that Ning Cheng didn't have the ability. Unexpectedly, Ning Cheng not only refined it, but the quality and grade of the finished pills weren't any weaker than Lu Dongzi's. Even Lu Dongzi felt shocked. The reason why he could deduce this furnace of medicinal pills was because he had the universe vegetation. If he didn't have this book, he felt sure that he would have already lost. Now, let me judge the level of the 2 in this competition. If there are any mistakes in my judgment, please correct me. The purple-robed man finished speaking and cupped his fists to show his fairness. Chapter 1057. The purple-robed man raised an elixir pill refined by Lu Dongzi and said, "Union Master Lu, this furnace of Tao Birth Divine Pills contains the 12th pill. This is a special grade divine pill. It successfully integrated 5 kinds of divine herbs, and its effect is to increase one's cultivation level. Taking this pill can improve the strength of divine emperors below the Tao Birth Divine Emperor by 1 level in the shortest time. It can be said that Union Master Lu successfully used the Sakya flower and silver ring fruit among the 5 kinds of divine herbs. The only pity is that this elixir pill doesn't have much practical use. The value of the divine herbs far exceeds the value of this furnace of divine pills." Lu Dongzi nodded. He naturally knew about the elixir pills he refined himself. Kong Liemba's evaluation was very clear, and he pointed out the advantages and disadvantages of this furnace of elixir pills. However, Kong Liemba didn't mention that the other 2 important divine herbs, the Heavenly Fox Double Leaf Scale and the Clear Wind Immortal Claw, didn't play any role in the elixir pills. The purple-robed man put down Lu Dongzi's elixir pills and asked, "I wonder if Union Master Lu has anything else to add?" He wanted Lu Dongzi to tell him if he had missed out anything. Lu Dongzi stood up and said with cupped fists, "Brother Kong hit the nail on the head. This furnace of elixir pills can only be used for alchemy battles. In fact, it doesn't have much value." Despite this, Lu Dongzi wasn't worried that he would lose. This furnace of divine herbs could be used to refine Tao Birth Divine Pills. Ning Cheng could only refine Tao Nurturing Spirit Pills. From this point of view, the medicinal pills Ning Cheng refined did not have much practical value. The purple-robed man nodded and took out another elixir pill. Alchemy Master Ning also refined a furnace of Tao Birth Divine Pills. I also have a special grade elixir pill in my hand. Alchemy Master Ning also successfully integrated 5 kinds of divine herbs, but the effect of this elixir pill is completely different from Union Master Lu's. This elixir pill brings out part of the medicinal properties of the Heavenly Fox Double Leaf Scale and the Clear Wind Immortal Claw. It also makes good use of the Sakya flower and silver ring fruit. From this point of view, Spirit Alchemy Master is superior. In addition, although Alchemy Master Ning's elixir pill doesn't use the nomological Tao runes of the divine herbs, it has some effects of Tao pills. It can help wind attribute spirit power cultivators reach a higher level. Not only that, but this elixir can also enhance wind attribute spirit power instantaneously. At this point, the purple-robed man paused for a moment because many people were talking about it. Even Lu Dongzi frowned. Apparently, he didn't believe that Ning Cheng's Tao nurturing divine pill was better than his. After the purple-robed man stopped, everyone stopped their discussions as well. The purple-robed man said, "So in the second round, Pill Saint Ning has a slight advantage. Of course, this is only my personal opinion. Now I will send the pills to all of you. Everyone, please share your opinions." Even if the purple-robed man didn't say anything, many people in the hall couldn't wait to know if it was as Kong Lian was said. Lu Dongzi obtained a pill refined by Ning Cheng, while Ning Cheng also obtained a pill refined by Lu Dongzi. As soon as the medicinal pill entered his hand, Ning Cheng knew that Lu Dongzi had lost. Lu Dongzi had indeed integrated 5 kinds of divine grasses, but he had put the cart before the horse and used the shaka flower and the silver ring fruit, ignoring the 2 more important divine grasses, the heavenly fox double-leaf scale and the clear wind immortal claw. Ning Cheng also understood that Lu Dongzi didn't ignore the important ones, but because of the urgency of the time, he could only do this. If he had only used the shaka flower and the silver ring fruit, Ning Cheng wouldn't have needed 3 days to deduce it. He could have deduced it on the first day. After half an incense stick worth of time, the people in the hall stopped observing the medicinal pills in their hands. Kong Lian's judgment wasn't wrong. Ning Cheng had won this batch of medicinal pills. Everyone here was an expert in the Tao of alchemy, so they naturally knew about it. Lu Dongzi also sighed, put down the medicinal pill in his hand and said, "Pill Master Ning, I lost. My vision was too narrow, and I thought that after obtaining the universe plants, I would be far better than ordinary alchemy masters. Even though I knew the medicinal properties of the 5 kinds of divine grasses in advance, I still lost to Pill Master Ning. Pill Master Ning, your Tao of alchemy is much better than mine." Ning Cheng understood Lu Dongzi's words, and everyone understood it. Ning Cheng didn't know about the first 5 kinds of divine grasses. He didn't even know their names, let alone their medicinal properties. Ning Cheng said that his master taught him differently. Even a child wouldn't be deceived by such words. Under such circumstances, Ning Cheng could still beat Lu Dongzi, which only showed one thing. That is, Ning Cheng's Tao of alchemy truly surpassed Lu Dongzi's. It was already difficult to deduce a pill recipe in 6 days, not to mention figuring out the functions of 5 kinds of divine grasses that had never been seen before. Because of this, Lu Dongzi was convinced of his loss. Although I won by a fluke, Association Master Lu's Tao of alchemy is indeed something I've never seen in my life. If it were a year ago, I might not have won against Association Master Lu. Ning Cheng could feel that Lu Dongzi was a little reluctant to give up on the Universe Plants book. But it was impossible for him to give up on this book. He had to get this book. His Tao of alchemy was limited, but more importantly, his knowledge was too limited. As for Lu Dongzi's Tao of alchemy being strong, it came from the bottom of his heart. If this competition took place a year ago, Ning Cheng estimated that he wouldn't have such an easy time. He didn't use any divine grasses on the airship. Instead, he focused on deducing pill recipes for over half a year, which helped him a lot in this competition. I lost. This book belongs to Pill Master Ning from now on. Lu Dongzi grabbed the Universe Plants book in front of him with some reluctance and didn't give it to Ning Cheng. Lu Dongzi was a primordial chaos pill saint, yet he was so reluctant to part with an alchemy Tao book. From this, one could tell that this book was no trivial matter. If one gambled, one must be willing to lose. This applied everywhere. Even if some people didn't want Ning Cheng to get this book, they couldn't refute it at this time. What's more, Ning Cheng had defeated Lu Dongzi. Facing such a powerhouse in the Tao of alchemy, no one wanted to offend him. At this moment, a woman behind Lu Dongzi stood up. "Pill Master Ning, if we talk about the Tao of alchemy, how do you compare to our association master?" Ning Cheng glanced at her and understood that this woman, like him, was also a representative of the 5 realms pill competition. Ning Cheng didn't quibble. "I'm not as good as Association Master Lu. The process of this competition is indeed fair. However, the fire-attributed primal chaos chi that Pill Master Ning took out is far inferior compared to the Universe Plants book." The reason why Association Master Lu agreed to it was that, firstly, he thought that he would win, and secondly, he didn't want to embarrass Pill Master Ning. I'm not saying that Pill Master Ning doesn't want to accept the universe plants, but to point out a fact. That is, this competition has been unfair since the very beginning. The woman finished, cupped her fists and sat down. Everyone understood the meaning of her words. That is, the things that the two people brought out during the competition were not equal, which in itself would affect the mood of the competition. The Tao of alchemy was originally a kind of grand Tao. Even a little bit of dust would affect the result, especially between two people with similar Tao of alchemy. In fact, this woman's words meant that Ning Qing didn't want to accept the universe plants. Pill Master Ping speaks very directly. Pill Master Ning, please don't take it to heart. After Lu Dongzi finished, he no longer hesitated and directly handed over the universe plants book to Ning Qing. Ning Qing appreciated Lu Dongzi's straightforwardness. If Lu Dongzi wanted to go back on his words, then don't blame him for being impolite. Not only did he want to take back the universe plants, but he also wanted to ridicule them. Seeing Lu Dongzi act so straightforwardly, Ning Qing grabbed the book and said, "Many thanks, Association Master Lu." Lu Dongzi waved his hand. "This is what you deserve. There's no need to thank me. If I had obtained your fire-attributed primal chaos chi, I wouldn't have thanked you either." Ning Qing showed a slight smile. "In addition to thanking Association Master Lu, I also want to say that what that senior apprentice sister said just now was indeed reasonable. In fact, I didn't recognize any of the 5 divine grasses in the first round of the competition. I believe that everyone here knows about this. Therefore, consider this book as a loan from Association Master Lu. Before the end of the 5 Realms Pill competition, I will definitely return it to Association Master Lu." Hearing Ning Qing's words, Lu Dongzi almost stood up in joy. Fortunately, he still retained his self-restraint and gave Ning Qing a very respectful alchemy salute. "Many thanks, Pill Master Ning. If Pill Master Ning has any questions while reading this book, please feel free to discuss it with me." This universe plant was too important to him. Otherwise, as a primordial chaos pill saint, he wouldn't want to take back what he lost. Now that Ning Qing wanted to return it to him, he decided to compensate Ning Qing in other ways. Ning Qing also stood up and returned the alchemy salute. "I would like to thank Association Master Lu for giving me a chance to view the universe plant. I'm afraid that I would have to trouble Association Master Lu for a lot of things." Ning Qing also felt very satisfied. After reading the universe plant, he didn't need to keep it with him. With this book, he could make friends with a powerhouse in the Tao of alchemy like Association Master Lu, which would only bring him benefits. Not only that, Ning Qing could feel that after he decided to borrow this book, Lu Dongzi wasn't the only one in the hall who felt a change in him. Lu Dongzi quickly exchanged communication pearls with Ning Qing and then cupped his fists towards Si Chen Qiu Tian. "Association Master Si Chen is truly amazing. You can even guide an alchemy Tao powerhouse like Pill Master Ning to refine the 16 Soul Pill. During the 5 Realms Pill competition, if Association Master Si Chen has some free time, we can discuss alchemy together." Si Chen Qiu Tian stood up with a smile on his face and returned the salute. Even if he knew that Lu Dongzi wanted to help him condense his alchemy Tao heart, he still felt happy at this moment. First, it was true that he helped Ning Qing refine the 16 Soul Pill. Second, it was true that Lu Dongzi lost to Ning Qing. Lu Dongzi's alchemy Tao was stronger than his, but he still wanted to discuss alchemy with him. This showed that his alchemy Tao had gained recognition from others. Nothing else, because he could guide Ning Qing. Ning Qing felt that he didn't do anything wrong. Lu Dongzi's words were tantamount to helping him. Lu Dongzi could see that he wanted to perfect Si Chen Qiu Tian's alchemy Tao heart, so he said those words to help. Si Chen Qiu Tian's confidence in the Tao of alchemy rose. Once he reached the Grand Change realm and refined a furnace of heavenly heaven essence pills, Si Chen Qiu Tian's alchemy Tao heart would once again be perfected. Kong Lianbo felt very satisfied with the way things were resolved this time. He said with a smile, "Alchemy Master Ning has amazing talent and is neither arrogant nor rash. I, Kong Lianbo, have decided to give this competition spot to you." As a senior, he felt that there was nothing wrong with saying this to Ning Qing. Ning Qing had shown such a strong level of alchemy Tao. Giving Ning Cheng a spot at this time was tantamount to sending charcoal in snowy weather and making friends with Ning Cheng. With Lu Dongzi and Kong Lianbo befriending each other, the rest of the alchemists in the hall greeted Ning Cheng and Si Chen Qiutian. For a time, the originally strange atmosphere in the pill discussion hall became harmonious. Chapter 1058. After that, Sidu Chen, Qiutian, and Ning Cheng didn't participate in the Dao discussion. The Grand Essence realm only needed one spot, and Kong Lianbo had already given it to him. Therefore, there was no need for them to participate. Ning Cheng, on the other hand, was also able to gain a lot from watching the pill competition from the side. The alchemy experience of any of the association heads here was not something he could compare to. Several days later, the pill discussion ended. More and more people came to make friends with Ning Cheng and Sikhen Qiutian. Previously, few people in this place were willing to deal with Sikhen Qiutian. It wasn't because he wasn't popular, but because he was too weak. Those who pursued the pill Dao were very realistic. Since Si Chen Qiutian's pill Dao heart was damaged, others were naturally unwilling to discuss alchemy with him. Once the discussion of alchemy went deeper, it would affect other people's alchemy Dao hearts. Now that Ning Cheng had shown such strong strength, Si Chen's Qiutian's Dao heart in the alchemy Dao had begun to improve. Even Kong Lianbo and Lu Dongzi wanted to make friends with Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng rejected all invitations and went straight back to the rest stop. He wanted to study the universe vegetation. This book was very important to him. The 5 realms pill competition was approaching, and if he could thoroughly study the plants and vegetation of the universe, at the very least, he wouldn't be any less knowledgeable than the others. In fact, he might even be better than them. With Ning Cheng's spot in the competition, Si Chen's Qiutian finally put down the stone in his heart and accepted Lu Dongzi's invitation to discuss the Tao of alchemy with Lu Dongzi. After returning to the rest stop, Ning Cheng activated the room's restrictions and directly took out the universe grass. When he flipped to the first page, he understood why Lu Dongzi was reluctant to part with this book. How is this a book? This was simply a top-notch treasure. Apart from the striped pattern, there was no other writing on the page. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness penetrated inside and saw a large verdant spiritual grass medicine garden, as well as plants that were not spiritual objects. As for those species, Ning Cheng could not even count them at a glance. There were rows of words floating above each plant. These words introduced the effects of the plant, the environment it grew in, and the conditions it needed to survive. These descriptions were perfect. Any plant, as long as you read these descriptions, you would be able to understand them at a glance and perfect them in your mind. Ning Cheng had seen a lot of jade strips introducing spiritual grasses, but he had never seen such a perfect introduction. These plants were real and could be dug up to be used to refine pills. There was more than one stalk of each type, and some even formed a small patch. If this book was like this, then the value of this book was simply immeasurable. Ning Cheng couldn't help but sigh at Lu Dongzi's magnanimity in his heart. Replaced by another person, if they lost this universe of plants to someone else, they would have definitely dug out all the spiritual objects in this book. Even if they didn't take away all of them, they would take away a large portion. But when Ning Cheng looked at the first page of the spiritual grass medicine garden, it was incomparably complete, without a single stalk missing. This union leader Lu was not a person with a dark personality. Well, if he was shrewd and had a dark personality, he would not have stood out because of a single sentence from him. In fact, Lu Dongzi wasn't the only one who was dissatisfied with his previous words. In the end, only Lu Dongzi stood out. Ning Cheng quickly immersed himself in this book. As he flipped through the pages one by one, Ning Cheng found that the divine herb garden remained untouched. Among them, he even saw treasures like the law god herbs and Dao fruits. These things were also not dug up by Lu Dongzi. Only a few precious Dao fruits didn't have physical objects. Only a picture and introduction were suspended in place. Ning Cheng knew that even if Lu Dongzi dug these away, he didn't just dig them out. As more and more precious Dao fruits appeared, Ning Cheng began to admire Lu Dongzi more and more. He couldn't be as selfless as Lu Dongzi, who would give away these Dao fruits to his opponent after losing. No wonder Lu Dongzi could cultivate to the primordial chaos Holy Emperor realm and reach the primordial chaos Pill Saint realm in the alchemy Dao. Not many people could have such magnanimity. Ning Cheng eagerly absorbed the knowledge in the universe of plants in the rest stop. But at the same time, the news about him in the Five Realms Void City spread. An alchemist from the Grand Essence realm defeated Lu Dongzi with his own strength in a place where many association masters were discussing alchemy. He even won Lu Dongzi's universe of plants. It was impossible not to let others know about this. For a time, many alchemists participating in the pill competition regarded Ning Cheng as an opponent. It wasn't unusual for an alchemist participating in the Five Realms pill competition to defeat an association master. What was unusual was that Ning Cheng defeated the association master of the Grand Beginning Realm Pill Association. One had to know that in the alchemy Dao of the Five Realms, apart from the Grand Change Realm, the strongest was the Grand Beginning Realm. Ning Cheng defeating the association master of the Grand Beginning Realm was naturally not a trivial matter. Many alchemists specially came to visit Ning Cheng, but Ning Cheng had been in seclusion. 3 months passed in a hurry, and Ning Cheng had only read 1/3 of the universe of plants. Even with Ning Cheng's vast sea of consciousness, he had only read 1/3 of the book in 3 months, which showed how much information this book contained. On this day, Ning Cheng received a message from Si Chen Chiu Tian that the alchemists participating in the Five Realms pill competition would be teleported to the Grand Change realm in 3 days. Ning Cheng could only put away the universe of plants and stop his seclusion. He planned to take advantage of these few days to ask Lu Dongzi. This was because Ning Cheng found that there were a few plants that were not labeled after the universe of plants. He didn't know if it was because the labels were missing or because of other reasons. Apart from the powerhouses of the major realms, most of the people who walked in the Five Realms Void City were cultivators who wandered in the void. These people were powerful and decisive in killing. Ning Cheng did not walk for long on the streets of the Five Realms Void City before he sensed the bloody murderous aura of the void. Even though his cultivation level had reached the Dao Birth realm, Ning Cheng knew very well that his strength was still far from those true powerhouses. Plus, he didn't want to buy anything, so he didn't plan to wander around the streets. He just wanted to see Lu Dongzi as soon as possible. Lu Dongzi stayed in the Grand Beginning Resting Inn. Apart from Grand Simplicity and Grand Ultimate, Grand Change, Grand Beginning, and Grand Beginning all had their own resting inns in the Five Realms Void City. Scram! With a shout, a silhouette flew out. A powerful divine essence force pressed down on Ning Cheng's body, and Ning Cheng quickly stepped aside. Bang! The figure that flew out hit a tree and slid to the ground. Ning Cheng then saw that it was a thin yellow-haired woman. Apart from her big eyes, this woman looked very ordinary. At best, she wasn't ugly. She got up from the ground and wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. She didn't do anything drastic. From the looks of it, Ning Cheng knew that this wasn't the first time she had been kicked out like this. Her cultivation level was also at the Dao modeling realm, but her aura wasn't strong. Obviously, she hadn't cultivated for a long time and her Dao confidence had been destroyed. Ning Cheng's gaze fell on the shop that had kicked the woman out. It was a shop without any signs, and the person who kicked the yellow-haired woman out was only at the Dao modeling realm. It seemed that this woman didn't dare to resist and deliberately let the other party kick her out. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been in such a sorry state. The yellow-haired woman looked at the shop with some disappointment. She lowered her head and slowly turned around. Ning Cheng saw a tear in her eye. A Dao modeling divine emperor in a low-level realm would be the lord of a realm. How could she be bullied like this in the Five Realms Void City? Ning Cheng frowned slightly. He felt some sympathy for her, but he didn't go forward to ask. Even if a Dao modeling divine emperor couldn't afford to buy anything, she shouldn't be in such dire straits. This puzzled Ning Cheng. Sorry, I almost bumped into you just now. The yellow-haired woman carefully spoke to Ning Cheng, and after giving a respectful bow, she then wanted to bypass Ning Cheng and leave. During this process, she didn't even raise her head. To be honest, Ning Cheng had never seen a Dao modeling divine emperor act so lowly before. Even if Dao modeling divine emperors were at the bottom of the Five Realms Void City, They shouldn't act like this, right? Why did they kick you out? Seeing the yellow-haired woman being so polite, Ning Qing thought about it and asked. When Earth was invaded by the insect tide, Rulin was also bullied like this. The yellow-haired woman raised her head in confusion. She didn't expect Ning Qing to greet her. She quickly reacted and bowed. It's nothing, I don't have enough crystal stones. Ning Qing smiled. If it wasn't for a lot of crystal stones, I could help you. The yellow-haired woman's eyes showed surprise, but it quickly disappeared. She said in a low voice, I wanted to take the teleportation array, but I didn't have enough crystal stones, so they let me out. Ning Qing looked at the shop without any signs and asked, This isn't where the teleportation array is? I remember the teleportation array is over there. Saying that, Ning Qing pointed to the position where he came from through the teleportation array. The yellow-haired woman shook her head. No, I know the teleportation array isn't here. This is... Halfway through her words, the yellow-haired woman woke up and looked at Ning Qing in doubt. Big brother, aren't you from the Five Realms Void City? How come you don't know what this place is for? Ning Qing replied, No, I came here to participate in the Five Realms Pill competition. I really don't know what this place is for. No wonder you don't know. By the way, I heard that there's a senior named Ning Qing in the Grand Essence Realm. He even won against Association Master Lu in an alchemy battle. Do you know this senior Ning? The yellow-haired woman suddenly asked an irrelevant question. Ning Qing said with some embarrassment, I know him. Why are you asking him? Do you know him? The yellow-haired woman said in a low voice, I don't know Senior Ning. I heard that Senior Ning not only has a powerful alchemy Dao, but he is also generous. He won against Association Master Lu and only asked to borrow the universe grass. He doesn't want Senior Lu's universe grass. So, I wanted to ask him for help. Unfortunately, I went there a few times, and Senior Ning was always in seclusion. You want to borrow spirit crystals from him? Ning Qing felt a little speechless in his heart. He had unexpectedly become Mr. Nice Guy, yet someone he didn't know wanted to borrow spirit crystals from him. The yellow-haired woman nodded. I want to go back to the Grand Change Realm to have a look, but I don't have enough spirit crystals. The place I entered just now is specially designed to help people obtain spots to enter the Grand Change Realm. It's just that it requires too many spirit crystals, and I can't afford it. Ning Qing asked in surprise, Isn't it difficult to enter the Grand Change Realm? Do they have that kind of ability? If one could enter the Grand Change Realm as long as one had spirit crystals, then no one would ask him for a spot. Which sect in the Grand Essence Realm didn't have a lot of spirit crystals? Chapter 1059. The yellow-haired woman shook her head. It's not what you think. I came from the Great Change Realm, so I can go back. Saying that, the yellow-haired woman took out a jade card and showed it to Ning Qing. This is my identity jade card. Ning Qing suddenly understood. No wonder. I thought that anyone could find them to transfer to the Grand Change Realm. If that's the case, then the Grand Change Realm would be too easy to enter. The yellow-haired woman looked at the door of the merchant house that she had just been kicked out of. She hesitated for a moment before whispering, Actually, people who are not from the Great Change Realm have their own ways to enter the Great Change Realm. But it's very troublesome, and the amount of divine crystals required is a huge number. Ning Qing nodded. Sure enough, if there was a policy, there would always be a countermeasure. It was the same even in the Grand Change Realm, the largest of the 5 grand realms. How many divine crystals do you need to pay? Let me see if I have it. Ning Qing asked with a smile. The yellow-haired woman said dejectedly, I have to pay 50 million divine crystals to return to the Great Change Realm. So many? Ning Qing exclaimed in surprise. Even he found it difficult to carry so many spirit crystals. That's too many god crystals. I can't help you. Even if you find Ning Qing, he wouldn't be able to come up with so many spirit crystals to help you. Ning Qing spoke with a helpless tone. The yellow-haired woman understood that Ning Qing couldn't help her. Not to mention that the other party couldn't come up with so many spirit crystals. Even if he could, who would willingly take out 50 million spirit crystals to help a stranger? Upon seeing the yellow-haired woman's helpless look, Ning Cheng hesitated for a moment before saying, "Actually, there are many void wanderers in the 5 realms Void City. They adventure and cultivate in the void all year round. This way, not only can I improve my cultivation, but I can also accumulate some divine crystals." "I know, but I'm worried about my young Mississippi. I don't know how she is right now. I really can't cultivate here with peace of mind. I came to the 5 realms Void City to inquire about my big brother. However, I've been here for 10,000 years and I haven't heard anything about him." The yellow-haired woman's tone was mournful. "What's your big brother's name?" Ning Cheng asked. He suddenly remembered that he knew Kong Lianbua and also knew Lu Dongzi. Maybe he could help her find her big brother. The yellow-haired woman shook her head and didn't say anything. Ning Cheng saw that the yellow-haired woman did not want to say anything and could only say, "Then I wish you good luck. I'll be leaving now." "You are a good person. You are as kind as my big brother and my young miss. I will tell you my big brother's name, but you must not tell it to anyone else." The yellow-haired woman suddenly spoke up when Ning Cheng was about to leave. Ning Cheng smiled and was just about to say that he would definitely have to tell others to help her find her big brother, when this yellow-haired woman spoke up. "My big brother's name is Pan Qian. Alas, so many years have passed, even if I say it out loud, it would not matter much." "What did you say, Pan Qian?" Ning Cheng was surprised in his heart, as he quickly repeated the words. Could it be that the Pan Qian the yellow-haired woman was talking about was the giant he had saved? That was also possible. The only way out of the Great Change Realm was to come to the 5 realms Void City. The yellow-haired woman had come out of the Great Change Realm and could not advance or retreat in the 5 realms Void City. She could only stay here. Hearing Ning Cheng's surprised voice, the yellow-haired woman's face immediately changed, but she soon returned to normal. After being trapped in the 5 realms Void City for 10,000 years, she had long lost all hope. What did it matter whether he said Pan Qian's name or not? "Come with me." Ning Cheng did not ask any more questions and directly pulled the yellow-haired woman to a secluded place. Placing a restriction on it, he asked with a dignified tone, "Is your family's little miss called Shi, or is your name Shi?" The yellow-haired woman stared at Ning Cheng with wide eyes and took 2 steps back vigilantly. "Do you know my family's little miss and big brother Pan Qian?" Sure enough, Ning Cheng felt slightly relieved. "I don't know Shi, but I know Pan Qian. Pan Qian is my friend, and we have gone through trials and tribulations together." Ning Cheng did not speak nonsense. Pan Qian had saved him, so he had returned to save Pan Qian. The two of them had dealt with the altar of forefathers' library together. Because of this, the two had forged a deep friendship. "Are you a friend of Big Brother Pan Qian? Where is Big Brother Pan Qian?" The yellow-haired woman's tone turned joyful and excited. She had actually heard news about Pan Qian. After so many years in the Void City, this was the first time she had heard news about Pan Qian. Ning Cheng did not say where Pan Qian was. Instead, he stared at the yellow-haired woman and asked, "Is your family's little miss Shi?" The yellow-haired woman said eagerly, "Yes, my family's little miss is Shi. My name is Chan Qian." Ning Cheng frowned and said, "I heard from Pan Qian that she died a long time ago. Why did you say that you were worried about your family's little miss and didn't want to stay in the Void City of the 5 realms?" Chan Qian felt relieved when she heard Ning Cheng's words. "Big brother, you really are my big brother Pan Qian's friend. It's a long story. Let's go to the rest stop and find a place to talk about it." "Okay, let's go to the rest stop where I live and talk about it in detail." Also, did that merchant house kick you out just now because you didn't have enough spirit crystals? If he had not known Chan Qian's identity, Ning Cheng would not have made such an unnecessary move. Chan Qian was Pan Qian's sister. Regardless of whether they were related or not, he had to take care of this matter. If they didn't have enough spirit crystals, they could just not give her a teleportation spot. Why did they kick her out? Looking at Chan Qian, she did not seem like someone who would take the initiative to cause trouble. Chan Qian hesitated. "Big brother, we can't afford to provoke them. That merchant house is very powerful. Just tell me the reason." Ning Cheng waved his hand. Not fighting back wasn't Ning Cheng's character. Chan Qian gave an sound and said, Because I couldn't collect 50 million spirit crystals, they said that I had to pay 10 million spirit crystals as a mortgage first. This mortgage was the prepayment for the teleportation spot. I had no choice but to pay 10 million spirit crystals. It took me many years to collect more than 10 million spirit crystals. So I went to them and asked them to give me a discount. They asked me to give them the spirit crystals I had on me, and then I continued to collect more spirit crystals. However, I didn't give them the spirit crystals. I just said that I wanted to take back my original 10 million spirit crystals and that I planned to find someone else to help me. They said that if I didn't give back the spirit crystals, they would kick me out. I didn't dare to resist. Once I resisted, not only would I lose the 10 million spirit crystals, but I would also have to pay back the spirit crystals I had on me. Ning Qing sneered. Sure enough, it was a scam. Don't worry, I'll go with you this time. After Ning Qing finished, he turned around and walked towards the shop again. Big brother, you can't go. Qian anxiously called out to Ning Qing. If Ning Qing went like this, the two of them would be finished. Ning Qing smiled. Don't worry, just come with me. By the way, did they give you any proof when you mortgaged it? Qian shook her head and said, No, but I secretly recorded the crystal ball. Ning Qing spoke with satisfaction. Not bad, give me the crystal ball. Although Qian was weak and timid, she wasn't a fool. She had wandered here alone for many years, so her experience wasn't too bad. Because of this, she recorded it with the crystal ball. What are you doing here again? Did you collect all the spirit crystals? As soon as Ning Qing and Qian walked into the merchant house, a Tao molding divine emperor sitting there drinking spirit tea frowned and said, Opposite this Tao molding divine emperor was another Tao molding divine emperor. When Ning Qing and Qian came in, he didn't even raise his head. He still elegantly picked up the jade cup in front of him and took a sip of spirit tea. Not yet, Qian just said 2 words when the Tao molding divine emperor roared. If not, then what are you doing here? Piss off, don't make me kick you out again. Ning Qing stopped Qian who wanted to say something and said calmly, We haven't collected all the spirit crystals yet. We know it's very hard to collect them, so we don't plan to teleport here. We're going to take back the 10 million spirit crystals we originally mortgaged. You're quite bold, daring to come here and ask for spirit crystals. Do you think you're great just because you're strong? The Tao molding divine emperor didn't even put Ning Qing, a Tao nourishment divine emperor, in his eyes. However, before he could finish his sentence, he felt a terrifying pressure crashing down on him. Under this kind of pressure, he even found it difficult to breathe. The next moment, he heard 2 crisp pa-pa sounds. Blood mist followed by more than 10 teeth flew out. The Tao molding divine emperor's cheeks were smashed into bones. Bang! Another kick landed on his chest. The Tao molding divine emperor felt his bones shatter inch by inch. He flew out of the merchant building. With a crack, the Tao molding divine emperor smashed through a huge tree on the opposite side of the street. He became paralyzed and stared at Ning Qing in horror. He was a mid-stage Tao sculpting expert, but he didn't even have the ability to resist just now. He wanted to take out a pill to heal, but he felt his injuries couldn't be healed by pills. His broken bones contained traces of Taoist rhyme aura, and there was no way he could recover. You dare to attack here? The other Tao molding late stage couldn't sit still anymore. He stood up and stared at Ning Qing in shock and fear. He said this, but his mind was on guard against Ning Qing. He was afraid that Ning Qing would suddenly attack him again. You should be glad that you were not the one who kicked that person a moment ago. Otherwise, I would have beaten you to the point that even your parents would not be able to recognize you. Ning Qing lifted his foot and smashed the 2 cups of spiritual tea on the table in front of him, as he spoke in a thick voice. His spirit sense had already scanned that it was a Tao actualization divine emperor, so he didn't ask for help. A Tao actualization divine emperor couldn't do anything to him. The Tao actualization divine emperor walked to the door of the merchant building and picked up the paralyzed Tao molding middle stage cultivator before walking in. He glanced at Ning Qing and Qian before putting down the Tao molding divine emperor and said coldly, My Infinite Circles Commerce Hall isn't a big commerce hall, but it's not a place anyone can bully. If you can't give my Infinite Circles Commerce Hall a satisfactory answer, you won't be able to walk out. Chapter 1060. Infinite Circle Commerce Hall was really big. My friend paid 10 million crystals here. Now, she can't get 50 million, so she can only take back the crystals and not teleport to the Great Change Realm for now. But this person not only didn't return the crystals but also kicked my friend out. Therefore, I returned the kicks that he had given me back. Ning Cheng spoke in a calm manner. The Tao Actualization Divine Emperor frowned and said heavily, "Do you have proof?" Infinite Circle Commerce Hall wasn't lenient towards solo cultivators who wanted God crystals. Usually, they wouldn't give out proof either. The Tao Actualization Divine Emperor asked this because he wanted to know if Ning Cheng and Qianqian had proof that they paid 10 million God crystals. If they didn't have proof, then they wouldn't be able to get it back. Ning Cheng made a copy of Qianqian's crystal ball and threw it to the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor. "The proof is in this crystal ball." The Tao Actualization Divine Emperor grabbed the crystal ball and scanned his spirit sense in. He immediately saw the image of Qianqian paying the God crystals. He was very angry at who took the God crystals and let them carve the crystal ball. Infinite Circle Commerce Hall was a big business. A solo cultivator paying 10 million God crystals would be used by their subordinates as extra income. Qianqian didn't have 50 million God crystals. Even if she did, Qianqian wouldn't be able to get a teleportation spot with 50 million. Unless she had a certain background, she wouldn't be able to take out 50 million God crystals at once. The thing in the crystal ball might be fake. I need to check it. The quality of the crystal ball isn't good either. I just scanned it with my spirit sense and it cracked. As he spoke, the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor threw the crystal ball to Ning Cheng. Before Ning Cheng could grab the crystal ball, it turned to dust. Ning Cheng didn't mind and turned to Qianqian. "In that case, we'll come back next time." It wasn't that he was afraid of this Tao Actualization Divine Emperor, but he wanted to be reasonable first. Ning Cheng was almost certain that this Tao Actualization Divine Emperor wouldn't let him leave easily. As soon as Ning Cheng said this, the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor sneered, "You beat someone in my merchant tower and you're going to leave? In fact, it was your merchant house who made the first move. If it wasn't for the Infinite Circles Commerce Hall's people who made the first move against my friend Qianqian, I wouldn't have come here to make a move against her. Could it be that you can hit us but we can't fight back? Let's take a step back for now and not take the spirit crystals for the time being. Isn't that enough?" Ning Cheng cupped his fists and continued to dig holes. Since this matter had gotten out of hand, he needed to stand on the side of reason first. The other party looked down on him and Qianqian. This kind of pit was the easiest to dig. Everyone could see the cowardice in Ning Cheng's tone. The Tao Actualization Divine Emperor said coldly, "It doesn't matter if what you said was fake or the truth. Since you beat someone in my Infinite Circles Commerce Hall, don't even think about leaving. Hand over the ring, cripple your own cultivation and scram." "Oh, does that mean that your Myriad Realms business house should beat people up?" Ning Cheng asked with some anger. He actually wanted the other party to say that my Infinite Circles Commerce Hall deserved to beat you up. "What can you do to me?" But this Tao Actualization Divine Emperor was very cunning. Despite guessing that Ning Cheng had no background, he didn't say that. Instead, he argued, "I didn't see if my Infinite Circles Commerce Hall beat anyone up. However, I saw you heavily injure someone from my Infinite Circles Commerce Hall. Let's go." Ning Cheng couldn't dig anymore, so he turned and left. How could the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor let Ning Cheng go? He raised his hand and punched towards Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng opened his hand and the Void Cold Ray Spear appeared in his hand. At the same time, he stabbed out with it. Streaks of ice-cold spear traces suddenly distorted the entire void, and the space in this place turned illusory. With an explosion, the spear runes of the Void Cold Ray Spear turned corporeal and clashed with the other party's punch. Powerful Tao runes spread out and God essence kept on exploding in the twisted space. Crash! With just one attack, the merchant house was turned into ruins. Under Ning Cheng's deliberate action, a powerful killing intent and spatial fluctuations spread out. In just an instant, most people in the Five Realms Void Marketplace knew that someone had started a fight in the Five Realms Void Marketplace. This Tao Actualization Divine Emperor saw the merchant house explode. He was shocked and furious. He didn't expect Ning Qing to be this bold. He dared to use his Dao runes and killing intent in the Five Realms Void Marketplace. What shocked him even more was that Ning Qing was only a Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor, but his cultivation level wasn't any weaker than him. He didn't use his full power, but who knew if Ning Qing used his full power? Ning Qing was overjoyed. The Void Cold Ray Spear was indeed powerful. He only used a small part of it and it actually released such power. Ning Qing was certain that he didn't even need to use the 5-color Star Splitter arrow to kill this Dao Actualization Divine Emperor. He just needed this Void Cold Ray Spear. He didn't even need to use 7 Bridges Divine Art. Ning Qing shook the Void Cold Ray Spear and spear runes automatically formed. You're courting death. You dare to do this in the merchant house of the Five Realms Void Marketplace? This Dao Actualization Divine Emperor's face turned livid. If he knew that Ning Qing was this bold and powerful, he wouldn't have attacked Ning Qing in the merchant house. As long as Ning Qing was in the Five Realms Void Marketplace, he had 10,000 ways to kill Ning Qing. There was no need to attack him directly. You still don't know who's courting death? Eat my spear again. Ning Qing shot out another spear. This spear was completely different from the previous spear. If the previous spear was just a space spirit art and spear runes killing intent, then this spear was Ning Qing's time law spirit art. Ever since he cultivated in the tree ring for a few years, Ning Qing's understanding of time law had deepened. He could have used Sunset's dusk to stop time in an instant. After comprehending the time Dao runes in the tree ring, Ning Qing's time law spirit art completely stopped time. This was the true control of heaven and earth law. Even if it was just for an instant, it could take the opponent's life. The cold void light spear transformed into a cold shadow. This cold shadow looked ordinary, but it pierced out just like that. After this cold shadow pierced out, time seemed to have stopped. Within the range of the cold ray spear's Dao runes, the entire space seemed to have frozen. This Dao Actualization Divine Emperor only faced this frozen world. In this frozen world, he could feel the terrifying killing intent in the world. At this moment, he could no longer hold back the fear in his heart. His entire god essence and spirit sense started to go berserk. When the spear of death arrived at his forehead, he barely dodged it by a sliver. Splurge! Blood splashed out. The void cold ray spear brushed past this Dao Actualization Divine Emperor's forehead and blasted a gash in his head. Luckily, this Dao Actualization Divine Emperor burned his god essence like crazy before Ning Qing could use this spear. He broke free from the frozen time law and avoided the fate of his forehead being blasted apart. The world returned to normal. This Dao Actualization Divine Emperor also retreated 100 meters and stared at Ning Qing. He even forgot to heal himself. A Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor used time law to affect him and almost killed him. Just how terrifying was this Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor? Ning Qing sighed in pity. If his god essence was stronger, even if he was at Dao Nourishment middle stage, this spear would have killed him. However, Ning Qing didn't let it go. He stepped forward and the void cold ray spear turned into endless spear runes. Killing intent spread out. This Dao Actualization Divine Emperor quickly took out his magic artifact and felt a sliver of coldness in his heart. Stop! A terrifying pressure suddenly descended, accompanied by a powerful backlash. Ning Qing felt as if his 5 viscera and 6 bowels were about to be torn apart. He quickly put away the void cold light spear and frantically retreated. After this terrifying pressure, a gray figure appeared not far from the opposite side of Ning Qing. Even though he didn't attack Ning Qing, that aura that made Ning Qing feel like he couldn't even breathe still came crashing over. This was definitely a Dao Essence Divine Emperor. Just when Ning Qing wanted to find someone to help, the pressure around him lessened. When Ning Qing saw Si Chen Qiu Tian and Lu Dongzi come over together, he felt relieved. Infinite Circles Commerce Hall's Zhong Shuguang greets Association Master Kong, Association Master Lu, Association Master Si Chen. The Divine Emperor who used his aura to suppress Ning Qing quickly cupped his fists. He had just finished greeting when a few figures with powerful auras landed. Seeing these figures come over, Zhong Shuguang could only continue to greet them. At this moment, Ning Qing discovered that Kong Lianbo had also come. Behind Kong Lianhua, there were several powerful figures. Sure enough, even a little thing that happened in the Five Realms Void City couldn't be hidden from these people. Ning Cheng also saw that the guy who used his aura to suppress him was indeed a Tao Essence Divine Emperor. He wore a gray cultivator robe and had a sinister look on his face. Lu Dongzi and Si Chen Qiu Tian didn't speak. Even though this place was called the Five Realms Void City, strictly speaking, it was Kong Lianhua's territory. Kong Lianhua asked in a calm tone, "Dao friend Zhong, you're a Tao Essence expert of the Infinite Circles Commerce Hall. Why would you attack Ning Qing, a Tao Nourishment Pill Saint?" Hearing Kong Lianhua call him a pill saint, Ning Qing knew that Kong Lianhua was pressuring him. Ning Qing? Tao Nourishment Pill Saint? Zhong Shuguang was dumbfounded. To be honest, he still didn't know the reason. However, since Ning Qing attacked a Tao Transformation Divine Emperor of the Infinite Circles Commerce Hall, he naturally wouldn't let it go. Zhong Shuguang didn't need Kong Lianhua to explain. He quickly understood. Wasn't Ning Qing the pill refiner who had won against Lu Dongzi during the pill refinement battle? Why would the Infinite Circles Commerce Hall fight with Ning Qing? Qi Meng, what's going on? Zhong Shuguang stared at the Tao Transformation Divine Emperor injured by Ning Qing with a gloomy expression. No matter how strong the Infinite Circles Commerce Hall was, it couldn't fight against so many Realm Pill Association masters. He had heard that after Ning Qing defeated Lu Dongzi, he performed very gracefully and won the friendship of many Pill Association masters and Pill Saints. Did the Infinite Circles Commerce Hall not want to stay in the Five Realms Void City anymore? Chapter 1061. How could Qi Meng care about healing at this time? He also understood Ning Cheng's origin. At this moment, he only had hatred in his heart. Since you're Ning Cheng, why didn't you just report your origin earlier? Who else in the Five Realms Void Marketplace is more famous than Ning Cheng? Qi Meng had wronged Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng never thought that he would be so famous. If he knew that signing up could solve the problem, he wouldn't have caused such a ruckus. This Tao friend came to my Infinite Circles Commerce Hall and said that we owed him 10 million God crystals. He couldn't produce any valid evidence and even injured a Tao molding divine emperor of my Infinite Circles Commerce Hall. Because of this, I fought with him. If Deacon Zhong hadn't arrived in time, I'm afraid I would have died. Qi Meng could only find a reason to stand his ground at this time. At this point, it was no longer a matter of who was stronger. When Qi Meng said this, neither Kong Lianhua nor Lu Dongzi could speak. If this was really the case, then they could at most help Ning Qing keep his life. However, everyone here knew that things wouldn't be so simple. If Ning Qing wasn't an idiot, he wouldn't be stupid enough to blackmail the Infinite Circles Commerce Hall. 10 million God crystals were a lot, but it wouldn't be enough for an alchemist like Ning Qing to think about. Seeing everyone looking at him, Ning Qing took out a crystal ball and threw it into the air. The image in the crystal ball was instantly seen by everyone, from Qi Meng entering the Myriad Realms business house, to Ning Qing giving Qi Meng the crystal ball as evidence, to Qi Meng destroying the crystal ball, and the conversation between the two of them. Moreover, Ning Qing took the initiative to retreat, but Qi Meng stopped him. He even asked Ning Qing to hand over his storage ring and then abolish his cultivation. Asking a cultivator to hand over their storage ring and abolish their cultivation was an irreconcilable hatred. What's more, the reason why the two of them fought was because Qi Meng attacked first. From this crystal ball, Qi Meng could be said to be bullying people. Seeing that Ning Qing even recorded the crystal ball, Qi Meng's face turned green. He finally understood why Ning Qing acted so lowly before. It turned out that this person was digging a hole. Fortunately, he wasn't stupid enough to say that the Infinite Circles Commerce Hall deserved to beat him up. Otherwise, he would be dead for sure. Seeing the image in the crystal ball, Zhong Shuguang's expression also turned ugly. He cupped his fists towards Ning Qing and said, "My Myriad Circles Commerce Hall is in the wrong in this matter. Whether we have evidence or not, my Myriad Circles Commerce Hall will pay for the 10 million spirit crystals." Ning Qing didn't answer. Instead, he raised his hand and threw out another crystal ball. This crystal ball contained the image of Qianqian paying the spirit crystals as collateral. Without backing up the evidence, Ning Cheng was not stupid enough to hand over the evidence to his opponent. After the image in the crystal ball finished playing, Ning Cheng spoke up with a cold voice. I'm not shameless enough to extort 10 million spirit crystals. The Myriad Circle's Commerce Chamber of Commerce must be a big chamber of commerce, but it's hard to believe that they would do such a thing. Zhong Shuguang was equally angry in his heart, but this time he was not angry at Qi Meng, but rather at Ning Cheng. Unfortunately, with so many powerhouses here, he did not dare to do anything to Ning Cheng. My Infinite Circles Commerce Hall will compensate you with 50 million divine crystals, Zhong Shuguang said with a cold tone. Saying that, he directly threw a ring towards Ning Cheng. After this incident, the reputation of the Infinite Circles Commerce Chamber had completely ruined. In the past, even if the Infinite Circles Commerce Chamber ran out of spirit crystals, no one dared to say it to Ning Cheng in front of the public. Ning Cheng grabbed the ring and grabbed 10 million spirit crystals from it before throwing the rest of the spirit crystals back to Zhong Shuguang along with the ring. We only want our own spirit crystals. The rest of the spirit crystals aren't ours, and I don't care about them. Ning Cheng put the 10 million spirit crystals into a ring and handed it to the surprised Qianqian next to him. These are your spirit crystals. You can keep them. Zhong Shuguang put away the ring, but his expression turned even uglier. Ning Cheng's words meant that no matter how many spirit crystals his Infinite Circles Commerce Chamber had, most of it was ill-gotten gains. Knowing that Ning Cheng deliberately wanted to drug the Infinite Circles Commerce Chamber, he couldn't refute it. Since the matter has been resolved, I won't keep Pill Master Ning here. Zhong Shuguang put away his anger and spoke in an even colder tone. At this moment, Ning Cheng suddenly received Kong Liembua's voice transmission. The Infinite Circles Commerce Chamber trades all kinds of teleportation quotas. If Pill Master Ning's friend wants to go to the Grand Change Realm, you don't have to look for the Infinite Circles Commerce Chamber. Just come with us to the Grand Change Realm in 3 days. Just as he was about to doze off, Kong Lienbua sent him a pillow. Ning Cheng admired Kong Lienbua's subtle observation and judgment while quickly thanking him. As everyone dispersed, Ning Cheng cupped his fists towards Lu Dongzi and said, I wanted to ask Association Master Lu a few questions, but I met my friend on the way. Lu Dongzi waved his hand. Dao friend Ning can come to me at any time. I've been discussing the Tao of Alchemy with Association Master Si Chin in my residence for the past few days, and I've gained a lot. Lu Dongzi's Tao of Alchemy was a few levels higher than Si Chin Qiu Tian's. Therefore, Lu Dongzi said this to give face to Si Chin Qiu Tian. As soon as Ning Cheng returned to the rest stop with Qianqian bowed to Ning Cheng. Big brother Ning, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have gotten back those 10 million spirit crystals. After Ning Cheng let Qianqian sit down, he spoke up directly, you don't have to say this. Pan Qian and I have a life and death friendship, so it's only right for me to help you. Can you tell me what happened to Shi-Er? I heard from Pan Qian that Shi-Er is dead. Qianqian's eyes turned red. Big brother Pan Qian left the Grand Change Realm tens of thousands of years ago. Because Big Brother Pan Qian came from the giant clan, and his clan has the ancient giant bloodline. After the ancient bloodline leaked, countless people became envious and wanted to obtain the bloodline inheritance of the ancient giant clan. Big Brother Pan Qian is the one with the most complete bloodline inheritance among the ancient giant clan, and his bloodline is even pure. Ning Cheng was no longer an ignorant person. No matter what kind of ancient bloodline it was a supreme treasure with extreme perception and cultivation capabilities. Whether it was cultivation, body forging, or spirit techniques, it was unparalleled. Pan Qian had the ancient giant bloodline, which made people envious. Later, in order to protect Big Brother Pan Qian, the giant clan left behind the purest bloodline inheritance and desperately fought against those invaders. In the end, the giant clan was too weak and was killed. Big Brother Pan Qian was saved by Big Sister Shi and has been following me and Big Sister Shi ever since. Until one day, Big Sister Shi said that she was going to reincarnate and asked Big Brother Pan Qian to leave the Grand Change Realm. When he cultivated to 10,000 feet, he would go back to the Grand Change Realm to see if he could find her reincarnated body. 10,000 feet? Ning Cheng asked in surprise. When he saw Pan Qian, Pan Qian was already 10 feet tall. To be honest, Ning Qing had never seen such a huge body before. What would he look like when he reached 10,000 feet in the future? Qian Qian quickly explained. Big brother Pan Qian's cultivation method awakened on his own. Cultivating to 10,000 feet doesn't mean that he's really 10,000 feet tall, but when he condensed the ancient giant's Dao charm, he would have a 10,000 feet real body. With a 10,000 feet real body, he wouldn't have to fear even Dao fusion powerhouses. When he didn't condense the ancient giant's Dao charm, Big Brother Pan Qian was only about 10 feet tall. Ning Qing thought back to when he saw Pan Qian. Pan Qian was more than 10 feet tall. From this, Ning Qing understood that Pan Qian's strength had suffered too much damage and couldn't restrain his ancient giant's Dao charm. Pan Qian most likely didn't want to worry him, so he didn't say anything. After understanding this, Ning Qing started to worry about Pan Qian. In Pan Qian's current state, even if he returned to the Grand Change Realm, he would only be courting death. But Ning Qing believed that Pan Qian wouldn't be so stupid. After experiencing so many things, he should know what to do. Besides, Pan Qian had Shen Mengyan by his side. Shen Mengyan should be able to persuade Pan Qian. After sending Big Brother Pan Qian away, Big Sister Shi also sent me away. She said that she wanted to disperse her corporeal body in the place where she had cultivated and then reincarnate. She didn't want anyone to disturb her. I thought it was true because Big Sister Shi's cultivation method really did need reincarnation after reaching the extreme. Qian Qian lowered her head and started sobbing. Ning Qing felt even more uneasy. He feared that she didn't want to reincarnate but lied to Qian Qian and Pan Qian. Sure enough, Qian Qian continued, after I left Big Sister Shi, I became a rogue cultivator. Until 10,000 years ago, I teamed up with a few people to train in the Grand Change Realm's underground abyss. When I accidentally entered the depths of the underground abyss, I vaguely saw Big Sister Shi's figure. She was nailed to a thick blood pillar, suppressing something with her corporeal body. It's just that my strength was too limited. That figure was vague, and before it could get close, it was swept away by the violent underground Yin wind. When I wanted to go back, I couldn't go back. I tried everything, but I couldn't see Big Sister Shi again. I didn't know any powerhouses in the Grand Change Realm, and even if I did, I didn't dare to ask for help. I could only go to Big Brother Pan Qian. I didn't expect to be left in the Five Realms Void City, unable to advance or retreat. Over the years, my cultivation has regressed from the Dao Birth Realm to the Dao Sculpting Realm. Maybe after a while I will no longer know what Dao is. Are you sure that Ning Cheng's tone turned cold. Pan Qian's kindness was influenced by Shi. From this, it could be seen how kind Shi was. How could he bear such a person being used as something purely to suppress dirt? Ning Cheng naturally understood the meaning of pure suppression. It was to use the purest body, essence, spirit, and soul to suppress things that couldn't see the light of day. When he saw in Yi's statue, it was also a kind of pure suppression. After seeing in Yi's statue, he took it away without hesitation. Qian Qian nodded while crying. I'm sure I didn't see it wrong. Even if it was just a vague glance, I'm sure that it was Big Sister Shi. Since it's pure suppression, she won't die so quickly. After we go to the Grand Change Realm, we can find a way. At that time, you can take me to the underground abyss. Ning Qing quickly calmed down. The person who could nail Shi to the underground abyss to suppress dirt definitely wasn't a simple person. This matter was different from the Myriad Realms Commerce Hall's matter. Even if he wanted to save people, he had to be careful. Chapter 1062. What kind of place is that underground abyss? Was everyone allowed to participate in the trial? Also, Shi was suppressed in the underground abyss. Can you guess who did it? Ning Qing asked again. The Great Change Realm was not only the first realm among the 5 great realms, but it was also the realm with the perfect laws of heaven and earth. One could imagine how many experts there were in the Great Change Realm. If he wanted to go to the underground abyss, he had to first figure out what kind of place the underground abyss was and who the experts he would be facing were. Qian Qian sorted out her thoughts and said, I heard that the underground abyss appeared after the great changes of the 5 realms. Except for the Great Change realm, the other 4 realms were fragmented due to the great changes and the laws were incomplete. It was also at that time that an underground abyss appeared in the westernmost corner of the Great Change realm. In the beginning, the underground abyss was just a collection of demonic creatures formed from the filthy air underground. Some cultivators entered the underground abyss to train. These demonic creatures lived in filthy places, absorbing the filthy aura of heaven and earth, but they could produce a very pure demon crystal. This kind of demon crystal contained clear laws of heaven and earth. Some people could even make use of the heaven and earth law aura contained in these demonic crystals to comprehend a higher level of Tao aura and advance. Because of this, high-level devil crystals in the underground abyss are as precious as Tao fruits. No one cares about these underground monsters? Qianqian shook her head. In the beginning, some experts went in, but they soon realized that these demonic creatures posed no threat at all. In addition, the laws of heaven and earth of those demonic crystals were relatively low, so they couldn't attract those experts. Hence, they didn't bother with them anymore. But many years later, the demonic creatures underground became stronger and stronger. In the end, they even rushed out of the ground and almost destroyed a Tao court. Only under such circumstances did people enter the underground abyss to suppress the demonic creatures. I didn't know how they did it until I saw Sister Shi-Er's body nailed to the blood pillar in the underground abyss. Only then did I understand how bloody their suppression was. At this point, Qianqian could no longer hold back her tears. Ning Cheng couldn't help but sigh in his heart. He had not seen Shi-Er nailed to the blood pillar to suppress the filthy demonic creature, but he could imagine how miserable it must have been. He thought back to when he first saw Pan Qian. Pan Qian was also locked in the void and was constantly being sacrificed. He wondered if what had happened to Pan Qian and Shi-Er had been done by the same person. After a while, Qianqian stopped grieving. After those powerful monsters are suppressed, only some low-level monsters are outside the blood pillar. The Great Change realm allowed people to go down and find these demonic creatures to train. One reason was to increase the strength of the Great Change realm, and the other was to suppress the eruption of the demonic creatures in the underground abyss. As for who suppressed Big Sister Shi-Er, I don't know either. My guess is that it was either the Tao courts or the Tao sects. Back then, when the ancient giant clan was in trouble, Big Sister Shi-Er helped to save Big Brother Pan Qian. It's hard to guarantee that no one will know about it. Qianqian, what is the Tao court? The force? Ning Cheng asked in confusion when he heard Qianqian mention the Tao court twice. Qianqian answered in detail. The Tao court is also a force. There are 5 major Tao courts and 3 major Tao sects in the Great Change realm. Other than that, only the Elixir Association, the Weapon Association, and a place called the 7 God Palace can compare with these places. Knowing that Ning Cheng didn't understand the Great Change realm, Qianqian continued to explain. The 5 major Tao courts refer to the Cloud Light Tao court, the Jade Clear Tao court, the Glazed Pearl Tao court, the Yaohua Tao court, and the Great Mystery Tao court. The 3 major Tao sects refer to the Covering Space Tao sect, the Thousand Buddha Sacred Tao sect, and the Formless Tao sect. The Tao courts are actually similar to sects, but they are much bigger. Each Tao court has a Tao Lord, and the Tao Lord is supported by many powerful holy emperors. In addition, there is also an army of cultivators. Each Tao court is like a plane, and there are countless sects and clans under it. Ning Cheng already understood what a Tao court was. To put it simply, it was equivalent to a country, similar to the heavenly court in ancient China. Since it was a force like the heavenly court, the 5 Tao courts must have fought in the Great Change realm. Do the 5 Tao courts often fight each other? Ning Cheng immediately asked. As long as there were fights, it would be easy to deal with them. What he feared the most was that they were united, which would make it difficult for him to act. Although he was asking Qianqian, Ning Cheng had already confirmed that there were fights. Where there are people, there would be Jianghu. This sentence was applicable everywhere. Yes, there are often fights between the 5 major Tao courts, as well as between the Tao courts and the Tao sects. On the contrary, The Pill Association and the Equipment Association rarely fight with these forces. On the contrary, most of the Dao courts and Dao sects are related. Qianqian nodded. After some conversation, Ning Cheng learned a lot about the Great Change Realm from Qianqian. However, Qianqian's information was from 10,000 years ago. Qianqian didn't know if the current situation in the Great Change Realm was the same as 10,000 years ago. Ning Cheng didn't ask Kong Lianhua. Kong Lianhua was the Deputy Association Master of the Great Change Pill Association and had a lot of entanglements with the Dao courts and Dao sects. Ning Cheng didn't want to ask Kong Lianhua about this kind of thing. 3 days passed by in a flash. Kong Lianhua and several other association masters brought many alchemists participating in the 5 Realms Pill competition to the teleportation array to the Great Change Realm. The 5 Realms Pill competition has always been a grand event for our 5 realms. Although many Dao friends know that the teleportation array from the 5 Realms Void City to the Great Change Realm has very high spatial laws, I still have to remind you before the teleportation. That is, do not bring people through the teleportation array in your miniature world or true spirit world. Once such a thing happens, your miniature world or true spirit world will be crushed. The people inside won't be able to survive either. Before stepping onto the teleportation formation, Kong Lianhua cautioned them in detail. The alchemists here had seen the world. Therefore, no one was stupid enough to think that it would be easy to teleport people into the Great Change Realm from another world. Ning Cheng didn't care about it. No matter how high the spatial laws of this teleportation array were, it couldn't be higher than the laws of his mysterious yellow world. Yanji was in his mysterious yellow bead and wouldn't be affected at all. As for Qianqian, Kong Lianhua agreed to send her through the teleportation array. Kong Lianhua, as the Deputy Association Master of the Great Change Realm Pill Association, had the ability to do so. There were more than 100 alchemists in front of the teleportation array, not including the alchemists from the Great Change Realm participating in the 5 Realms Pill competition. Apart from the Great Essence Realm, which only had 6 participants, the Great Ultimate Realm, which had the fewest participants, had 12 participants. Both the Great Beginning Realm and the Great Beginning Realm had about 30 or 40 participants. As for the Great Change Realm, the number of alchemists participating in the 5 Realms Pill competition had reached more than 100. After everyone boarded the teleportation array, Kong Lianhua took out 2 array flags and brought them out. The teleportation array suddenly gave off a roar, and the edges of the array flickered with black light. Before the teleportation array even started, Ning Cheng felt a strong spatial collapse. As more and more black light gathered, the spatial collapse swept everyone away. Even Ning Cheng felt dizzy after such a long-distance teleportation. When he opened his eyes, he knew that he had arrived at the Great Change Realm. A powerful and perfect aura of laws emerged, and Ning Cheng immediately noticed some flaws in the spirit technique he had comprehended before. It was a feeling that couldn't be expressed in words. This was the aura of heaven and earth laws. Ning Cheng didn't know if the Great Change Realm's heaven and earth laws were complete or not, but he was sure that the Great Change Realm's heaven and earth laws were far more complete than the Great Essence Realms. After all the alchemists walked out of the teleportation array, Kong Lianhua brought out an airship and said, "Dao friends, the 5 Realms Pill competition will take place in the Great Change Alchemy City. The Great Change Alchemy City doesn't belong to any Dao court. You can come with me to the Great Change Alchemy City or leave alone. However, you must arrive at the Great Change Alchemy City in 3 months." Ning Cheng quickly said, "Union Master Kong, my friend has to go back and have a look. I won't go to the Great Change Alchemy City for the time being. After 3 months, I will definitely return to the Great Change Alchemy City to participate in the pill competition." "Of course," Kong Lianhua said with a smile. He had a good impression of Ning Cheng. After Ning Cheng thanked him, he greeted Si Chen, Qiu Tian, and Lu Dongzi before quickly leaving with Qianqian. The teleportation array from the 5 Realms Void City to the Great Change Realm was built in the Great Change Realm's Yuanyuan's Sacred Dao City. Yuanyuan's Sacred Dao City, like the Great Change Alchemy City, didn't belong to any Dao court or sect. Although it was a neutral sacred city, it didn't seem to be prosperous. Most people would leave in a hurry after arriving here and just treat it as a temporary place to stay. According to Qianqian, the spirit qi in the Yuanyuan sacred Tao city was very weak, and it was difficult to gather spirit qi. Therefore, few people were willing to live in this place. Ning Cheng brought out an airship and quickly left the Yuanyuan sacred Tao city with Qianqian and stepped into the Great Change realm. Only then did Ning Cheng understand the meaning of Pan Qian's words. Pan Qian had never been to the Great Change realm, or rather, he didn't dare to go to the Great Change realm at all. Pan Qian's impression of the Great Change realm came from Shi Er's words. In his eyes, the Great Change realm was filled with pure and rich spirit qi, Tao charm, and treasures. It was a paradise for cultivators. Ning Cheng didn't see any treasures, but the spirit qi here wasn't something the Great Essence realm could compare to. Not only was the spirit qi pure and rich, but the vast and boundless laws of heaven and earth also made people feel relaxed and happy. Moreover, this was just a place where the spirit qi in the Great Change realm was relatively weak. Not many people came here. This really is a paradise for cultivators. Ning Cheng thought of this and spoke up with emotion. In his heart, he started to think about the 5 powerful spirit techniques of the 5 great realms and how powerful the formless Tai Yi was. The formless Tai Yi not only ranked first among the 5 great spirit techniques, but it also ranked in the top 3 among the top 10 spirit techniques in the vast universe. From this, one could see how powerful the formless Tai Yi was. The shallow cloud villa where I live with big sister Shi, the spirit qi there is much better than here. Not only is it beautiful, Qianqian said as she thought of Shi. Ning Cheng asked, how long will it take to get to the shallow cloud villa from here? If we can make it, let's go to the shallow cloud villa first. Chapter 1063. The shallow cloud manor belongs to the territory of the glazed Ying Dao court. If we fly from here, we can reach the Absolute Lightning Sacred Dao City in about 10 days. From Absolute Thunder Sacred Dao City, you can directly teleport to Wading Sacred Dao City, and then fly for 3 days from Wading Sacred Dao City to Shallow Cloud Villa. Qianqian estimated the speed of Ning Cheng's airship before saying, "It won't take that many days." After Ning Cheng spoke, he brought out the Starry Sky Wheel. The Starry Sky Wheel's speed was several times faster than the airship Ning Cheng currently used. Just as Ning Cheng said, it only took him and Qianqian 3 days to reach Absolute Thunder's Sacred Dao City. From there, they took the teleportation array to Wu Ting's Sacred Dao City. The Absolute Thunder's Sacred Dao City was located at the edge of the glazed Ying Dao court. It was similar to the Yuanyuan Sacred Dao City and wasn't very lively. However, the Wu Ting Sage Dao City was a very important Sage Dao City for the Crystal Jewel Dao Pavilion. Not only were there many cultivators coming and going, there were also many experts living here. Big Brother Ning, Wu Ting's Sacred Dao City's city master Lu Fangzhen is very strong. Furthermore, Lu Fangzhen had participated in the massacre of the Taiyi primeval giant clan. If it weren't for Big Sister Shi, he would have killed Big Brother Pan Qian. After coming out of Wu Ting's Sacred Dao City's teleportation array, Qianqian carefully sent a voice transmission to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng understood Qianqian's meaning and gave her a reassuring look. "We'll leave this place immediately. We won't go to the city." Qianqian. Ning Cheng and Qianqian hadn't even walked out of the city gate's restrictions when a sudden voice called out. The person called Qianqian was a late-stage Dao birth man with a slightly thin figure. Not only was the Dao rune aura on his body valiant, but it also carried a sharp edge. At one glance, one could tell that he was someone who lived on the edge of life and death all year round. "Senior Brother Yuan, why are you here?" Qianqian also recognized the man in front of her and asked in surprise. Saying that, she immediately introduced him to Ning Cheng. "Big Brother Ning, this is Senior Apprentice Brother Yuan. We had once teamed up to go to the underground abyss to train together." Yuan Ji obviously did not care about Ning Cheng. He just nodded at Ning Cheng casually and stared at Qianqian in disbelief. "Qianqian, you and I were both at the mid-stage Dao birth back then, and your foundation was even stronger than mine. How did you become like this? We haven't seen you since that time in the underground abyss. Where did you go?" Qian understood Yuanji's words. Why was it that after 10,000 years, his cultivation level had declined from the Tao birth to the Tao modeling instead of rising? Qian's eyes dimmed and she said dejectedly, "That time, I encountered danger and almost fell in the underground abyss. In addition, some things have happened to me over the years, causing my cultivation to drop. By the way, do you, Zhang Chu, Wen Zhe, and the others often go to the underground abyss?" Yuanji shook his head. Wen Zhe died a long time ago. After that, something happened in the underground abyss. I heard that there was a problem with the blood pillars suppressing the demons in the underground abyss. Hearing that there was a problem with the blood column, Qian asked anxiously, "What happened after that? How are you now?" Yuanji looked at Qian suspiciously, but still explained, "After something happened to the suppressed demonic creatures in the underground abyss, the Grand experts once again entered the underground abyss to forcefully suppress them. Currently, the underground abyss is no longer allowed to enter. As for the specifics, I have never gone down there. Wen Zhe, who formed a team with us, died because of a problem with the blood pillar suppressing the underground abyss." Seeing that Qian had fallen silent, Yuanji spoke again. "Qian, why don't you come with me to the ice forest floating island? Although it's a bit dangerous there, it has plenty of spirit qi. I'm sure it won't take long for you to recover your cultivation." "I'm not going. Thank you, senior apprentice brother Yuan." Qian quickly refused. "No, your cultivation has regressed so much. If you don't work hard, I don't know what will happen to you in the end," Yuanji quickly said. Ningcheng looked at Qian in doubt. For Yuanji to say such words, did he have a good relationship with Qian and not just a normal teammate? Qian also felt a little puzzled. She and Yuanji were just teammates. Although they were friends before, they didn't care about each other's cultivation. Ningcheng looked at Qian's expression and understood that Qian and Yuanji didn't have a good relationship. Yuanji seemed a bit too enthusiastic. Yuanji also realized that he was being too enthusiastic. He sighed and said, "The four of us teamed up to train together in the underground abyss and helped each other. Now, I don't know where Zhang Chu went, and when Zhe fell in the underground abyss. Thinking about it made me sigh. Now that I see that your cultivation has fallen to the Tao sculpting realm, I can't help but sigh in my heart." Qian felt relieved when she heard Yuanji's words. Yuanji's words also evoked some sadness in her. She also sighed, "Senior apprentice brother Yuan, I do have some things to take care of. After I finish these things, I might go to the ice forest floating island." Seeing Qian say this, Yuanji didn't say anything else. He could only exchange communication messages with Qian before sending Ningcheng and Qian away from Wu Ting's sacred Tao city. "Are you familiar with this Yuanji?" After the starry sky Will left Wu Ting's sacred Tao city, Ningcheng asked Qian. Qian shook her head. "No, we only teamed up before. It's probably because he's the only one left among the four of us." "Did you always stay in Wu Ting's sacred Tao city?" Ningcheng asked again. Qian nodded. "Yes, because Wu Ting's sacred Tao city is suitable for my cultivation. Plus, it's close to the shallow cloud villa, so I can often go back to the villa." Ningcheng suspected that Yuanji deliberately stayed in Wu Ting's sacred Tao city to wait for Qian. But it was just a guess. Waiting for 10,000 years was just a legend. If there was a real version of waiting for 10,000 years, Ningcheng would have some doubts about it. Unless he was waiting for Qian. But in fact, when he saw Qian, he just invited Qian to the ice forest floating island and didn't say anything. In less than a day, Ningcheng and Qian appeared outside the shallow cloud villa. This place was indeed a wonderful place for cultivation, surrounded by green mountains and clear waters. The spirit qi here wasn't any weaker than in Wu Ting's sacred Tao city. Within the shallow cloud villa's restrictions, one could vaguely see the shadow of a pavilion. "Big brother Ning, this is the shallow cloud villa. Since big sister Shi asked me to leave and prepare for reincarnation, I've only looked around from the outside, never?" Qian's words suddenly stopped, and her expression changed. As soon as Ningcheng came here, he knew that someone was in the shallow cloud villa. But he still had some doubts in his heart. Since she had called Qianqian away, no one should have lived here. But now that Qianqian's expression changed, Ning Qing understood that someone had occupied this place. How could anyone live here? Qianqian muttered to herself. Ning Qing asked in confusion, since there's no one in the shallow cloud villa, it should be an ownerless place, right? Since it's an ownerless place, would there be a problem for others to live here? Qianqian shook her head. There are indeed many ownerless places in the Grand Change realm, but the shallow cloud villa isn't one of them. Although the shallow cloud villa is in the Luingdao court and nominally belongs to the Luingdao pavilion, it's actually a private place that belongs to Big Sister Shi. Unless Big Sister Shi takes the initiative to give this place to others, it would be under the protection of the Dao court. After saying that, Qianqian looked at Ning Qing expectantly. Apparently, she wanted Ning Qing to make the decision. It would be best if they could take back the shallow cloud villa. Ning Qing remained silent for a long time before saying, Qianqian, whether we can take back the shallow cloud villa or not is secondary. Even if we can take it back, we can't do anything now. Once we take action now, others will immediately know about it. It would be very disadvantageous for us to go to the underground abyss to find Shi. Since someone used Shi to suppress the underground demonic creatures, that person would definitely keep an eye on the shallow cloud villa. My idea is to find an excuse to go in and have a look. Qianqian understood that Ning Qing was right, but they could only do this. In fact, even if they disguised themselves, it wouldn't be appropriate. However, Qianqian did feel anxious. She didn't know what kind of damage Big Sister Shi-er's residence would cause. A day later, the restrictions outside the shallow cloud villa activated. Ning Qing, disguised as a middle-aged man, stood outside the restrictions. Ning Qing waited for half an incense stick worth of time before the restrictions finally opened. A yellow-bearded old man appeared inside the restrictions. He stared at Ning Qing and didn't speak. Ning Qing frowned slightly and cupped his fists. This Dao friend, I'm Yin Qian's elder brother, Yin Cheng. You're in the wrong place. Yin Qian isn't here. The old man finished and was about to activate the restrictions again. Without waiting for the old man to activate the restrictions, Ning Qing took a step forward and forced his way through the restrictions. He then asked with a calm face, My sister Yin Qian has always been in the shallow cloud villa. How can you say that she isn't here? What the hell is going on? You dare to break into a private cave? The old man's expression suddenly turned cold. As he spoke, his aura overflowed. However, he only had a Dao sculpting cultivation and didn't dare to do anything to Ning Qing. He only did this to scare Ning Qing. Ning Qing had heard from Yin Qian that in the Luingdao court, any act of breaking into a private cave was considered a serious provocation. The Luingdao pavilion, in order to strengthen the Dao court's cohesiveness and governance, would kill anyone who did such a thing. In other words, as long as the Luingdao pavilion found out about Ning Qing's current actions, they would kill him without a doubt. This is your private cave? How come I don't know about it? The shallow cloud villa belongs to Shi, and Yin Qian is always by Shi-er's side. I've come here a few times, but I've never heard of this place becoming someone else's. Ning Qing sneered and pressed down on the other party with his aura. Sure enough, after the old man heard Ning Qing's words, a trace of astonishment flashed across his face. He couldn't find any words to refute Ning Qing. Ning Qing felt a little surprised. He had thought that since this person dared to live in the shallow cloud villa, the Dao court must have allowed it. Since it was allowed, then when he said that the shallow cloud villa belonged to Shi, the other party should have refuted it. Once the other party refuted it, Ning Qing would know if the shallow cloud villa was released by the Luingdao court. At the same time, he would also know if the Luingdao court's shadow was behind Shi-er's nailing to the ground. I'm really sorry. When we lived here, we didn't know that this place had an owner. If the owner comes back, we can move out at any time. A crisp voice arrived, and a woman wearing a sky blue dress walked over. Chapter 1064. Ning Qing's heart suddenly tightened. It wasn't because this woman was easy to talk to. It was because of this woman's cultivation. This woman's body was filled with condensed Dao runes and the surrounding space was filled with a powerful law aura. Ning Qing didn't even need to check the other party's cultivation to know that this woman was at least a primordial chaos expert. That's not it. This place isn't mine. I just came to see my sister. Ning Qing quickly said. When we came here, this place was empty. Because someone brought me here and allowed me to cultivate here, I have been able to stay here until today. As for your sister and I've never seen them before. The blue-robed woman said politely. Ning Qing hesitated before saying, Then can I go in and have a look? The reason why he hesitated was because this woman's cultivation was too strong. So strong that he almost couldn't resist. Fortunately, he didn't see any killing intent from this woman. If there was even the slightest killing intent, he wouldn't have gone in. If this woman had killing intent towards him, no matter how deep she hid it, he would be able to detect it. In fact, not only did this woman not have killing intent, but her eyes also looked very kind. Her forehead was slightly wide and her eyes were very bright, giving people a sense of peace and intimacy. Although this woman didn't look particularly beautiful, she was very pleasing to the eye. Of course. The blue-robed woman said with a smile and took the initiative to lead the way. She gave Yi Mo the feeling that whether it was speaking or acting, she was extremely gentle, giving people a feeling of a spring breeze. After Ning Qing followed behind the blue-robed woman and entered the restriction, he saw a gatehouse with 4 words carved on it, Shallow Cloud Villa. What made Ning Qing puzzled was that under the word Shallow Cloud Villa, there were 3 slightly more delicate words, Guang Yuan Palace. Seeing Ning Qing look at the 3 words Guang Yuan Palace, the blue-robed woman smiled and said, The place I used to live was called Guang Yuan Palace. After I left home, I felt homesick, so I wrote the 3 words Guang Yuan Palace. Ning Qing's impression of this blue-robed woman soared. If it was someone else, they might have thrown the Shallow Cloud Villa aside the moment they put up the 3 words Guang Yuan Palace. But this woman not only didn't throw away the 4 words Shallow Cloud Villa, but also put up the 3 words Guang Yuan Palace. Would you like to take a seat first, fellow Taoist Yin, or would you like to take a look at your friend's residence? The woman in the blue dress asked softly. Ning Qing cupped his fists and thanked him. I'm a little worried about my sister. I'd better go and take a look at her residence first. The blue-dressed woman said to the yellow-bearded old man, Liang Kai, bring Dao friend Yin to the backyard to take a look. Yes, Mississippi. The yellow-bearded old man hurriedly responded. Ning Qing understood that this yellow-bearded old man should be the servant of this blue-robed woman. Er's immortal cave was not located in the deepest part of this place. Ning Qing followed the yellow-bearded old man and soon arrived in front of a garden with intact restrictions. The yellow-bearded old man pointed at the garden and said, This is the place where the original owner lived. Not only did my family's young miss not touch the restrictions here, she even added a layer of restrictions outside. Many thanks, Dao friend. After Ning Qing thanked him, his figure flashed a few times before he directly entered the restriction. The yellow-bearded old man looked at Ning Qing's disappearing back, hesitated for a moment, before turning around to leave. Soon he arrived at the side of the blue-robed woman. Did he go in? The blue-dressed woman asked casually. The yellow-bearded old man nodded and hesitated for a while before saying, He forcefully broke through the restriction. Could it be? The blue-dressed woman seemed to know the yellow-bearded old man's hesitation, so she smiled and said, He might not be called Yin Cheng, but he should know the people who lived here before, and it's likely his first time here. When your cultivation reaches a certain level, you can also sense the other party's Dao rune fluctuations through the laws of heaven and earth. This Dao friend Yin's Dao rune fluctuations are not obvious, but he is extremely powerful. I'm afraid that even ordinary Dao transformation divine emperors might not be his match. The yellow-bearded old man did not feel strange about the blue-dressed woman's words. He nodded and took it for granted. After Ning Qing entered the restriction, he found that Er's residence was very simple. Apart from a garden, there was only a cultivation room that wasn't very big. Because no one had taken care of the garden for a long time, it was already overgrown with weeds. Ning Qing didn't clean up the garden but walked into Er's cultivation room. Just as he guessed, apart from a simple jade bed, there was only a jade table and a praying mat. Because the room was protected by restrictions, there was no dust. Ning Qing grabbed the praying mat and looked at it for a long time, but he couldn't find anything wrong with it. The jade bed was even more empty. There was nothing there. On the jade table, there was a small mountain model. Ning Qing picked up the mountain model and saw the words World Mountain on it. Ning Qing put away the World Mountain model and found that there was nothing inside, so he turned around and left in disappointment. In Ning Qing's opinion, this was normal. She didn't want Qianqian and Pan Qian to come back, so how could she leave anything here? After Ning Qing walked out, he found that the blue-dressed woman was still waiting for him outside, which made him feel very embarrassed. A primordial essence divine emperor was waiting for a Tao nourishment divine emperor. No one would believe it. All along, no matter how gentle the cultivators Ning Qing met, they wouldn't wait for a Tao nourishment divine emperor with primordial essence cultivation. If Tao friend Yin is not in a hurry, you can sit here for a while. If Tao friend Yin is in a hurry, I can ask Liang Kai to send you out now. As for Shallow Cloud Manor, Tao friend Yin can take it back at any time, the blue-dressed woman said with a smile. If it was another primordial essence divine emperor, Ning Qing would never stay here after investigating Shallow Cloud Manor. But since the blue-dressed woman said that she wanted him to stay, he could stay and ask a few questions. Then I'll have to bother you, senior sister. My name is Nian Yen. You can call me by my name. The woman's tone was even softer. After saying that, she led Ning Qing to the guest hall and sat down, before pouring a cup of spiritual tea for Ning Qing. Senior apprentice Sister Nian Yen, I just saw some messages in my younger sister's room. She told me that this is not a place to stay for long and wanted me to leave. Ning Qing did not speak too straightforwardly, but rather vaguely. Nian Yen nodded and said, You're from the Great Change Realm, so you should know about the underground abyss, right? Ning Qing naturally wouldn't say that he wasn't from the Great Change Realm. He nodded and said, Yes, the underground abyss is a good place for trials. But because of some problems a few years ago, it's very difficult to go to the underground abyss to find demonic crystals. When I first came here, my cultivation level was only at the Tao birth realm. I met a powerhouse who felt that I had a lot of potential and said that we were fated, so he let me settle in Shallow Cloud Manor. When Nian Yen said that, Ning Qing felt that something was wrong. He opened his mouth to say something but eventually swallowed the words he was about to say. Nian Yen was somewhat similar to Shi. They were both people with pure hearts. This kind of person was probably the most suitable to suppress the demonic creatures in the underground abyss. That person probably sent Nian Yen here to suppress the demonic creatures in the underground abyss in the future. What Ning Qing couldn't understand was that according to Yuan Ji, the demonic creatures in the underground abyss had erupted once. It stood to reason that Nian Yen should have been nailed to the blood pillar in the underground abyss to suppress the demonic creatures. Why was she still here? By the way, she was a primordial essence expert. If someone wanted to use her to suppress the demonic creatures, it wouldn't be easy, right? Thinking that Nian Yen was a primordial essence divine emperor, Ning Qing became even more puzzled. Nian Yen had come to this place less than 10,000 years ago. According to Nian Yen, she was also a Tao birth sacred emperor when she came. In less than 10,000 years, Nian Yen had advanced to primordial essence sacred emperor? What kind of terrifying aptitude and Tao insight did she have? Ning Qing knew that he had the mysterious yellow bead and cultivated the mysterious yellow formless. However, he had some doubts about whether she could advance to primordial essence in 10,000 years. Nian Yen could advance from Tao birth sacred emperor to primordial essence in 10,000 years? This, as if sensing Ning Qing's confusion, Nian Yen said softly, When I first came here, I was only a Tao birth sacred emperor. No one in the Great Change Realm cared about this cultivation level. As long as I didn't leave for a long time, the person who sent me here wouldn't care about me. Later, when the demonic creatures erupted, I was already a primordial essence sacred emperor. He came to see me, but he just sat here for a while and left after drinking a cup of spirit tea. Nian Yen spoke very tactfully, but Ning Qing heard it clearly. The person who came to see her could only leave dejectedly when he saw that she had such a powerful cultivation level. It would probably be a little difficult to catch a primordial essence sacred emperor to suppress the demonic creatures underground. It seemed like Nian was very clear about the reason why she lived here and the cause and effect. If she knew that she could advance from Tao birth to primordial essence within 10,000 years, not only would her aptitude be strong, but her Tao insight would also be strong. Even her intelligence would be demonic to the extreme. Who let you settle in shallow cloud manner? Ning Qing asked hurriedly. That person must have raised Nian here to suppress the demonic creatures. Only someone who had suppressed demonic creatures would do so. Even if she wasn't nailed to the blood pillar by him, it must have something to do with him. I only know that his name is Lu Fangzhen, and he seems to be the city lord of Wu Ting's sacred Tao city. His strength should be similar to mine. I've also seen the underground abyss once. Given his strength, I'm afraid he can't suppress it alone. I guess someone helped him. After listening to Nian's words, Ning Qing knew that Nian knew everything very well. Otherwise, she wouldn't have said that. Ning Qing stood up and said to Nian with cupped fists, "Thank you, Senior Sister Nian. Senior Sister Nian's heart is pure and you understand the laws of heaven and earth. You must already know that I came here in disguise. Because my strength is too low, I hope Senior Sister Nian can forgive me if I offended you. Goodbye." He didn't need to worry about a person like Nian at all. Ning Qing also understood why she was safe and sound. Given her Tao heart and understanding the laws of heaven and earth, she could advance at any time. The experts in the Great Change realm weren't idiots. They wouldn't offend an expert like Nian. Chapter 1065. Big Brother Ning, how was it? As soon as Ning Qing returned, Qianqian couldn't help but ask. Ning Qing said, "You don't have to worry, the place where she lives has not changed. The woman who moved in is similar to your sister She has a pure heart and a bright Tao heart. The reason why she lived here was because Lu Fangzhen wanted to use her as a sacrifice to suppress the underground monsters. However, Lu Fangzhen had not expected this woman's aptitude to be so high that she had advanced to the primordial chaos realm in less than 10,000 years. Furthermore, he's extremely powerful, so he doesn't dare to touch him." After listening to Ning Cheng's explanation, Qianqian finally felt relieved. "Then Big Brother Ning, where are we going now? How long will it take to get to the underground abyss?" "At our current speed, it'll probably take a few months. Because there are two teleportation arrays that are quite far from each other, the flight time is also quite long." After learning that the underground abyss was very far away, Ning Qing spoke up in a straightforward manner. "Let's return to the Grand Simplicity Alchemy City first. After participating in the 5 Realms Pill competition, we can then find a way to go to the underground abyss." Whether it was Si Qin, Xiu Tian or himself, it would be a pity if they missed the 5 Realms Pill competition. Moreover, if he delayed the 5 Realm Elixir competition, the Elixir Association would definitely look for him everywhere. Once the Elixir Association searched for him, he would be exposed no matter where he teleported to, even if he disguised himself. His and Qianqian's trip to the underground abyss was a secret operation, and they could not be exposed before that. Qianqian also knew that Ning Qing was telling the truth. Even if she didn't want Big Sister to suffer in the underground abyss, she had no other choice. 2 hours later, Ning Qing suddenly stopped the starry sky wheel. Just when Qianqian looked at Ning Qing in confusion, a jet-black airship shadow suddenly appeared in front of the starry sky wheel. The flying boat stopped and a robust late-stage Tao birth male cultivator appeared at the bow of the flying boat. "Bandits?" Qianqian exclaimed in shock. It wasn't that she hadn't seen bandits before, but they would usually appear in remote and uninhabited places. It was impossible for them to appear in the territory of the Lu Yingdao court. "It's not a road thief. He came here to kill me and then take you away." Ning Qing spoke with a calm voice. He didn't even put away the starry sky wheel. At that moment, he was in a confinement killing array. He was at the early stage Tao birth, while the other party was at the late stage Tao birth. There was also a confinement killing array. No matter who saw it, Ning Qing would die without a doubt. In Ning Cheng's opinion, he was not the one who would definitely die, but the late-stage Dao birth cultivator who had stopped him. With his array Dao standards, a mere death trap array wanted to stop him? This fellow was simply courting death. After Qianqian heard Ning Cheng's words, she felt a little surprised. How did Ning Qing know the other party's purpose? However, she very quickly reacted and looked at the late-stage Dao birth cultivator blocking her way with some sorrow in her eyes. 2 days ago, he was still talking about how he wanted to help her, but in the blink of an eye, he had disguised himself as a stranger and wanted to take her away. How could Qianqian not know that this Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor was Yuan Qi? Thinking back to what Ning Qing had asked her before, she understood that Yuanyi had only one purpose for stopping her here, which was to grab her and take her away. The reason for capturing her was simple, and that was because her identity had been discovered by Yuan Ji. Yuan Ji probably didn't know so many things. He was definitely helping someone else. As for why the person behind Yuan Ji wanted to find her, it must be to interrogate her about Pan Qian's whereabouts. Sure enough, after seeing the starry sky wheel stop, Yuan Ji made his move. A huge black cauldron smashed down from the void. This black cauldron directly ignored Ning Cheng's domain. At this moment, the entire world under the black cauldron was under Yuan Ji's control. A tearing sound could be heard in the air, devouring one's heart and soul. A sharp pressure gathered towards the center of the space enveloped by the black cauldron. An ice-cold strip with a deathly aura stabbed down from the center of the black cauldron's compressed space, and Ning Cheng was in the center of this ice-cold killing intent. Yuan Ji's eyes showed a trace of disdain. He had indeed set up a death trap array, but he couldn't use it at all. In his opinion, once he used his black cauldron's ice-cold spiritual power, Ning Cheng could only wait for death. If Ning Cheng was stronger, he might be able to break free from this spiritual power. But now, it seemed that Ning Cheng couldn't break free from this spiritual power. Ning Cheng indeed couldn't break free from the ice-cold strip with a dense, deathly aura under the black cauldron. It wasn't that he couldn't break free from this spiritual power, but that this spiritual power didn't pose any threat to him. The moment the ice-cold strip fell, the long spear in Ning Cheng's hand abruptly moved. An ice-cold spear pattern containing the same Dao charm of space surged out, and the surrounding space suppressed by the black cauldron loosened at this moment, followed by a ka sound. Even Qianqian, who was still watching the battle from the starry sky wheel, could feel the pressure around her lessening, and the oppressive feeling brought about by the black cauldron dissipated. The moment Ning Cheng's void cold light spear cracked open the space controlled by the black cauldron, Yuan Ji felt it. His eyes suddenly flashed with surprise. But before he could react, the silent spear mark struck the center of the black cauldron's ice-cold spear. Boom! The ice-cold arrow containing deathly aura was directly smashed into pieces by the cold light spear, and a tearing chill spread out. In just a few breaths, the deathly aura around the ice-cold arrow dissipated without a trace. Not good, this person is too strong. I'm definitely not his opponent. Yuan Ji immediately understood that the gap between him and Ning Cheng was too big. Even with the confinement and killing array, he was not Ning Cheng's opponent. At this moment, he no longer thought about killing Ning Cheng. Instead, he raised his hand and brought out several array flags. At the same time, a talisman appeared in his hand. How could Ning Cheng let Yuan Ji use the talisman to escape? A late-stage Dao birth cultivator posed no threat to him. Even if this late-stage Dao birth cultivator had set up a confinement and killing array, he would not be able to escape. Ning Cheng's figure seemed to distort space. When the endless Dao charm of confinement and killing blasted over, he calmly disappeared. When the Dao charm of confinement and killing blasted over the starry sky wheel, it only caused the starry sky wheel's defensive restrictions to shake. From the moment Yuan Ji brought out the array flags to activate the array formation and took out the escape talisman to when Ning Cheng calmly passed through the confinement and killing array, it took less than a breath. After a breath, Ning Cheng's spear-pattern Dao charm bound Yuan Ji's escape talisman. An endless oppressive aura blasted over, and a trace of despair flashed through Yuan Ji's heart. He never expected that Ning Cheng would be so strong. Although they were both at the Dao birth realm, his cultivation level was higher than Ning Cheng's. Yet, he could not resist Ning Cheng. Puff! The cold light spear nailed the talisman. As it passed through the talisman, it nailed Yuan Ji to the void. Let me go, and I can tell you who wants to capture Qian Qian. Yuan Ji's eyes turned ashen as he looked at Ning Cheng in despair. Ning Cheng raised the void cold light spear and picked Yuan Ji up. He looked at Yuan Ji and said calmly, "Do you want to say that the person who asked you to capture Qian Qian is Wu Ting's sacred Dao city's Lu Fangzhen?" Yuan Ji's eyes showed disbelief. How did the other party know who asked him to look for Qian Qian? I'll give you 3 breaths. Tell me why Lu Fangzhen wants to look for Qian Qian. Ning Cheng guessed that Yuan Ji did not know why Lu Fangzhen wanted to look for Qian Qian. But he still asked with hope in mind. After hearing Ning Cheng's words, Yuan Ji quickly called out, "Qian Qian, for the sake of our team." 1 breath. Ning Cheng interrupted him. "I don't know." You should be able to guess that Lu Fangzhen wouldn't tell me the reason. Yuan Ji saw that Qian Qian didn't come over and understood that he couldn't ask Qian Qian to save him. 2 breaths. Ning Cheng ignored Yuan Ji's words. Yuan Ji's face turned pale. He knew that it was useless to say anything else. As Ning Cheng's 3 breaths of time passed, the cold light spear tore through Yuan Ji's essence spirit, and Ning Cheng put away Yuan Ji's ring. "Let's go. Yuan Ji really doesn't know why Lu Fangzhen wants to find you. I guess it should be because of Pan Qian." Ning Cheng landed on the starry sky wheel and said to Qian Qian. Qian Qian's eyes were filled with disappointment. She didn't have many friends in the Grand Change realm. Even Yuan Ji and the others who teamed up with her were considered friends. But now, the ruthless truth made her feel sad. In the Grand Change realm, the 5 great Dao courts occupied almost 80% of the territory. The few ownerless territories were either public places that had already been negotiated with each other, or some extremely dangerous environments. There were also some places that didn't belong to the 5 great Dao courts or the 3 great Dao sects. Grand Change Alchemy City was such a sage Dao pill city that drifted away from the major forces. Grand Change Alchemy City belonged to the Pill Association in name, but in fact, this place was just the base of the Pill Association. The Alchemy City's city lord didn't necessarily have to be a member of the Pill Association. Those who competed for the position of city lord could be rogue cultivators, alchemists, or even figures from the 5 great Dao courts or the 3 great Dao sects. Regardless of the origin, one thing was certain, and that was that the city lord had to be fair and just. If there was any bullying or bias, the Pill Association would immediately kill the city lord without any mercy. Because of this, Grand Change Alchemy City could be said to be the fairest and most peaceful Sage Dao city in the entire Grand Change realm. It was somewhat similar to Covered Snow City in stately River Star, where Ning Cheng lived. As soon as Ning Cheng arrived at Grand Change Alchemy City, he felt this situation. It was probably because of this environment that Grand Change Alchemy City was so lively. Since Ning Cheng entered the Grand Change realm, Grand Change Alchemy City was the most lively Sage Dao city he had ever seen. "Excuse me, are you Pill Master Ning?" Ning Cheng and Qian Qian walked into Grand Change Alchemy City and were about to find a place to stay when a crisp voice called out to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng stopped and looked at the pretty girl who called out to him and asked in confusion, "Yes, I'm Ning Cheng. Are you looking for me?" He didn't know this girl at all. If Si Chen, Xiao Tian, Lu Dongzi, or Kong Lianbo were looking for him, they would have sent a message to him directly instead of letting a stranger find him. The girl bowed and said, "I'm not looking for you. Our city lord is looking for you. Pill Master Ning, if you have time, please come with me." "Your city lord? Grand Change Alchemy City's city lord?" Ning Cheng thought to himself. He had just entered Grand Change Alchemy City, and this city lord came looking for him? Didn't he have a bit too much face? Even if he won against Lu Dongzi, he wouldn't have such a big face. "No, it's City Lord Lu." The girl quickly explained. Ning Cheng blurted out, "Is it Wu Ting's Sacred Dao City's City Lord Lu Fangzhen?" Chapter 1066. Hearing that a Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor dared to call Lu Fangzhen's name, the girl's face sunk and she said sternly, City Lord Lu is looking for you. Pill Master Ning, come with me. If someone else invited him, he would probably go. Since this Lu Fangzhen invited him, Ning Cheng would never go. Moreover, Lu Fangzhen's invitation was not an invitation. To put it bluntly, it was an order. From the beginning to the end, this young girl never said that Lu Fangzhen had invited her. She only said that Lu Fangzhen had something to discuss with her. She was still unhappy when he mentioned Lu Fangzhen's name. Now, she didn't even need to ask if he was free. She just asked him to go with her. Did this guy think he was the ruler of heaven and earth? The Grand Change Realm's Tao Court might be a place with a strict hierarchy, but Ning Cheng wasn't someone from the Tao Court. Sissy, let's go. Recently, there are a lot of people in the Great Simplicity Alchemy City. Let's not look for a place, let's go directly to Association Master Sichen. Ning Cheng didn't even bother to pay attention to this girl and directly called out to Qian. Pill Master Ning, you should come with me to pay a visit to City Lord Lu first. The young girl's expression turned even uglier. Throughout history, whenever City Lord Lu wanted to meet someone, she only needed to say a word. Most of the time, she didn't even need to show up herself. She could just call someone over to greet her. She purposely used the word greet, meaning that City Lord Lu's status was much higher than his. Even though this was not Wu Ting's sacred Tao city, no one dared to disregard City Lord Lu's words in this place. This time, she had personally come to find Ning Cheng, but because Ning Cheng was a pill master, she had given him enough face. Now, it seemed that even if she gave him face, he might not even give her the time of day. Ning Cheng stopped, looked at the girl and asked, Does Lu Fangzhen know me? City Lord Lu has never seen Alchemist Ning before. Ning Cheng calling out Lu Fangzhen's name for the second time made the girl even angrier. However, she did not have the courage to do anything to the pill masters of the 5 realms pill competition. After saying this sentence, she felt a little unhappy in her heart and threatened him. Ning Cheng, City Master Lu asked you to go. If you don't go, have you thought about the consequences? I'm afraid it's not something a puny Grand Essence realm alchemist like you can bear. Even if your alchemy Tao isn't bad, it's the same. Ning Cheng showed a faint smile. If he did not threaten him, he would at most refuse. But threatening him? Who do you think you are, Lu Fangzhen? Lu Fangzhen doesn't know me, and I don't know him either. Why would I go see him? Does he have one more egg than others, or is his face bigger than others' buttocks? After saying this sentence, Ning Cheng did not wait for the other party to answer and directly walked away. It wasn't that he wanted to intentionally offend Lu Fangzhen, but he had long since run out of leeway with Lu Fangzhen. There was no point in enduring anymore. Since Lu Fangzhen was looking for him for no reason, he must have found some clues. Perhaps they only wanted to interrogate him about the whole story. In other words, if he went to see Lu Fangzhen and Lu Fangzhen accidentally killed him, he could only blame it on his bad luck. With Lu Fangzhen's status, if he killed a mere alchemist like him, even if he would be condemned by the Elixir Association or be held accountable, they would not do anything to him. Since they were destined to be enemies, there was no need to kneel and lick each other's stinky feet. Watching Ning Cheng and Qian walk away, the messenger girl's face turned livid with anger, and her whole body trembled. She had never seen such an arrogant guy. He was just a Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor. So what if he was a pill sage? Big Brother Ning, Lu Fangzhen is famous for seeking revenge for the smallest grievance. I'm afraid. Seeing that Ning Cheng not only didn't go to see Lu Fangzhen, but also spoke rudely, Qian immediately spoke with some worry. Ning Cheng smiled. Qian, don't worry. Lu Fangzhen came looking for us because he became suspicious. Even if we listen to him, he won't let us go. I'm sorry, I implicated you. Qian thought of Pan Qian, who had blocked the way before, and spoke with some sadness. Ning Cheng said directly, Qian, you're wrong. Pan Qian and I have a life and death friendship. His matters are my matters. With Lu Fangzhen by his side, Ning Cheng went to find Sichen Qiutian. Fortunately, Sichen Qiutian had already arranged a room for him. The 5 great Tao courts each had a rest stop in Great Alchemy City, and Lu Fangzhen lived in the Jade Pearl rest stop. The Jade Pearl rest stop wasn't far from Ning Cheng's unparalleled rest stop. However, in Great Alchemy City, even a few steps away couldn't be detected with spiritual consciousness. At this moment, Lu Fangzhen listened to the girl's words with a calm expression. He didn't get angry when Ning Qing compared his face to someone else's ass. His gaze didn't even change. After the girl finished speaking, he said in a calm voice, "You can go now. I got it." After Ning Qing returned to the rest stop, he continued to study the universe plants. As long as he didn't go out, Lu Fangzhen couldn't do anything to him. If there was anything he didn't understand, he would immediately ask Lu Dongzi, who also lived in unparalleled rest stop. As for the few plants that weren't marked, Lu Dongzi didn't know. As for what he knew, he told Ning Cheng without reservation. After more than 2 months, Ning Cheng had already read 2/3 of the universe plants in his hand. During these 2 months, Ning Cheng had gained a lot. Not only because of the contents of the universe plants, but also because of the Pill Dao discussion with Lu Dongzi, which gave him a lot of inspiration. When it came to the Pill Dao, Lu Dongzi had a higher level than Sichen Qiutian. In addition to his understanding of the Pill Dao, Ning Cheng and Lu Dongzi also forged a deep friendship. Lu Dongzi had a direct personality and didn't like to beat around the bush. This kind of personality made it easy for him to offend people, but he got along well with Ning Cheng. On this day, Ning Cheng had just put down the universe plants when the restriction at the door was triggered. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out and saw Sichen Qiutian and a strange middle-aged Confucian scholar standing at the door. He immediately noticed that this strange Confucian scholar's cultivation wasn't any worse than Sichen Qiutian's. In other words, the other party was at least a primordial chaos powerhouse. Which primordial chaos holy emperor came to find him? Ning Cheng opened the room's restriction, but before he could speak, Sichen Qiutian smiled and said, "Ning Cheng, this is Wu Ting's Sacred Dao City's city lord, Lu Fangzhen. He heard that your Pill Dao is amazing, so he came to visit." If it was an ordinary person, they would definitely be shocked to learn that a primordial chaos holy emperor came to visit a small Dao nourishment holy emperor pill master like Ning Cheng. Sichen Qiutian didn't feel surprised. Ning Cheng had the qualifications to make any primordial chaos holy emperor come to visit him. Ning Cheng's heart skipped a beat. He didn't expect Lu Fangzhen to be so magnanimous. He had ridiculed Lu Fangzhen like that. If it was anyone else, they would only act in secret and would never take the initiative to visit. The reason why he ridiculed Lu Fangzhen mercilessly in the first place, apart from disdain for Lu Fangzhen's attitude and knowing that the two of them wouldn't become friends. Another purpose was to let him know that Lu Fangzhen was his opponent. When Lu Fangzhen secretly acted against him, he could prepare for the 5 realms pill competition with peace of mind. In any case, Ning Cheng didn't expect Lu Fangzhen to take the initiative to visit him. "So it's City Lord Lu. Please come in. Union Master Sichen, please come in." Lu Fangzhen had lowered his stance this time. No matter what his purpose was, Ning Cheng couldn't say anything before Lu Fangzhen fell out with him. He had to invite Union Master Sichen in. Otherwise, what would he do if Lu Fangzhen suddenly attacked him? Sichen Qiutian also didn't plan to leave. No matter why Lu Fangzhen came to see Ning Cheng, Lu Fangzhen was still a primordial essence holy emperor. Ning Cheng was the person he was most optimistic about. Therefore, he naturally couldn't let Ning Cheng be alone with an unfamiliar primordial essence holy emperor. For this 5 realms pill competition, I also received an invitation from the Great Change Pill Meet. I've long heard that Pill Sage Ning's Tao of Alchemy has reached a new level. This Lu came uninvited. I hope Pill Sage Ning won't blame me. Lu Fangzhen not only spoke naturally but also spoke politely. It was as if he wasn't the one who directly ordered Ning Cheng to go there last time. I didn't expect City Lord Lu to be a person who loves alchemy. That's for the best. Let's discuss the Tao of Alchemy together. Ning Cheng pretended to be surprised. As long as Lu Fangzhen agreed to discuss the Tao of Alchemy with Sichen Qiutian, he could just leave Lu Fangzhen here for a few days and nights. Lu Fangzhen quickly waved his hand and said, I just like to interact with alchemists. I don't have a deep understanding of the Tao of alchemy. By the way, I heard that when Pil Sage Ning first arrived in the Great Change Realm, you went out for a walk. Did you gain anything? Regardless of what Lu Fangzhen meant by this question, Ning Cheng still replied calmly, the Great Change Realm is too big. I wandered around for a few days but couldn't find any clues. So, I simply returned to Alchemy City. Lu Fangzhen said with a straight face, I admire Pil Sage Ning's achievements in the Tao of alchemy. But although the Great Change Realm is jointly protected by the 5 major Tao courts, it still has some turbulence. All along, alchemists have made the greatest contributions. The Great Change Alchemy City is close to the Luiying Tao Pavilion. If something happens, my Luiying Tao Pavilion would be ashamed to face the Pil meet. Ning Cheng sneered in his heart but didn't say anything. Let's see how you play. Seeing that Ning Cheng didn't say anything, Lu Fangzhen took the initiative to speak up. Pil Sage Ning should know about the Great Change Giant Clan, right? The Great Change Giant Clan once plotted to seize the entire Great Change Realm. Fortunately, we discovered it early and finally managed to prevent this disaster. Unfortunately, there are still some fish that escape the net. There's a saying that wildfire can't burn away anything, but the spring wind blows it again. What they lack the most are alchemists who can refine Tao pills for them. Therefore, I'm very worried about this 5 Realms pill competition. Many thanks for City Lord Lu's concern. But I don't plan on leaving this place before the 5 Realms pill competition ends, Ning Cheng said with a sour tone in his heart. The ancient giant clan was a threat? This Lu Fangzhen was truly shameless. Lu Fangzhen nodded and said with a solemn tone, I heard that you have a woman named Qianqian by your side. Did you bring her from the void city of the 5 realms? Here it comes, Ning Cheng thought to himself. He just didn't know if Lu Fangzhen learned about Qianqian after Yuanji's death or before. According to his judgment, Lu Fangzhen should have learned about it after Yuanji's death. Otherwise, someone like Lu Fangzhen wouldn't have waited for him and Qianqian to arrive at the Great Change Sacred Tao City before intercepting them. Chapter 1067. Qianqian is my friend. I've known her for a long time. She wasn't brought here from the void city of the 5 realms. Even though he knew that Lu Fangzhen knew Qianqian's identity, Ning Cheng still denied it. After Lu Fangzhen heard Ning Cheng's words, he asked, Pil Master Ning, do you know about the glazed Ing Dao Quartz Dao Crossing Pool? Dao Crossing Pool? Ning Cheng had never heard of such a thing before. Si Chen's Qiu Tian, who hadn't spoken until now, felt that something was wrong with the atmosphere. Seeing that Ning Cheng didn't understand anything about the Dao Crossing Pond, he added from the side, the Dao Crossing Pond is the glazed Ing Dao Quartz #1 treasure land. It can help first step Dao confirming holy emperors feel the Dao charm laws of the second step Dao charm. I heard that many Dao essence powerhouses came out of the Dao Crossing Pond. However, not everyone can go to the Dao Crossing Pool. Only an extremely small number of genius divine emperors have the opportunity to comprehend the second step Dao essence. By the side, Lu Fangzhen smiled and added, Union Head Si Chen is right. The Dao Crossing Pond is indeed the #1 treasure land of my glazed Ing Dao Court. Alchemist Ning is shockingly talented, and even Guild Master Kong thinks very highly of him. When I came to Alchemy City, I asked Dao Lord about it. If Pil Master Ning is willing, my glazed Ing Dao Court's Dao Crossing Pond can be opened for Pil Master Ning at any time. Ning Cheng spoke up calmly, I don't deserve it. The glazed Ing Dao Court's Dao Crossing Pond is a treasure land of the Grand Change Realm. As an alchemist from the Grand Essence Realm, I wouldn't dare to act rashly. Lu Fangzhen's complexion changed. How could Alchemist Ning not have any merit? Our Da Lord has some questions for Qianqian. For Pil Master Ning to find Qianqian and bring her to the Grand Change Realm is a great merit in itself. Thank you, Brother Lu. I indeed found Qianqian and brought her to the Grand Change Realm. I didn't expect it to be such a great contribution. Ning Cheng showed a smile on his face and spoke with cupped fists. Hearing Ning Cheng's words, Lu Fangzhen immediately felt overjoyed. He stood up and said, "Pill Master Ning can apply to my Luing Dao Quartz Dao crossing pool at any time. Since I have something to do, I won't disturb Pill Master Ning. Pill Master Ning, please call Qianqian out and come with me." Ning Cheng's face sank. "City Master Lu, Qianqian is currently in secluded cultivation. I won't be able to go with you." Lu Fangzhen's eyes turned cold. "So Pill Master Ning was just playing with me just now?" Ning Cheng still spoke up in a calm manner. "I don't dare to say that it's a pastime, but I did not say that I would let Qianqian go with you. If City Lord Lu says that finding Qianqian and bringing her to the Great Change Realm doesn't count as a merit, I don't have any objections." "City Lord Lu, have a safe journey. I won't be sending you off." After saying that, Ning Cheng did not wait for Lu Fangzhen to quibble and directly stood up to send him off. "Very good." Lu Fangzhen once again restored his calm as he turned around and walked out of Ning Cheng's room. Sichen Qiu-Tian did not ask Ning Cheng why he fell out with Lu Fangzhen. He just spoke to Ning Cheng. "There are only a few days left before the 5 Realms pill competition. You have to be careful. I've gained quite a lot these few days, and I still have to deduce the pill formula, so I won't talk to you anymore." "Many thanks, Union Leader Sichen. However, Union Leader can leave later. Let's concoct a batch of pills first." Ning Cheng had already felt Sidu Chen Qiu-Tian's confidence in the Tao of alchemy returning. As long as he refined another batch of Heavenly Heaven essence pills, Sidu Chen Qiu-Tian would take another step forward. As he spoke, Ning Cheng took out a batch of ingredients for the Heavenly Heaven pill. Si Chen Qiu-Tian had long wanted to concoct such a batch of pills, but his confidence in the Tao of alchemy had already cracked. He had started to break the jar and used up some of the ingredients for the Heavenly Heaven pill. Now that Ning Cheng had taken out a batch of Heavenly Heaven pill's ingredients, as long as he successfully concocted this batch of pills, his Tao heart would take another step forward. Si Chen Qiu-Tian nodded to Ning Cheng but did not say any words of gratitude. Ning Cheng had helped him enough. If not for Ning Cheng, he did not know what would have happened to him. Seeing Si Chen Qiu-Tian sorting out the materials for alchemy, Ning Cheng directly activated the restrictions in the room and sat to the side without speaking. Instead, he focused on watching Si Chen Qiu-Tian concoct pills. Si Chen Qiu-Tian was very meticulous. He took out hundreds of materials one by one, sorted them into categories, and put them aside. His level in the Tao of alchemy was very high, but his alchemy ability was far inferior to Ning Cheng's. After finishing this, Si Chen Qiu-Tian brought out the pill furnace and the pill fire. It was another divine flame. Even if Ning Cheng did not know about this flame, he knew that Si Chen Qiu-Tian's flame was very powerful. Si Chen Qiu-Tian sent one divine grass after another into the pill furnace. After another 2 hours, Si Chen Qiu-Tian also sent the Heaven Essence Fruit and the Extreme Yin Sacred Fruit into the pill furnace. Compared to Ning Cheng's alchemy speed, Si Chen Qiu-Tian's speed was much slower. The Tao charm in the pill furnace surged, and Si Chen Qiu-Tian's entire consciousness fell on the pill furnace. Ning Cheng, who stood to the side, could only see Si Chen Qiu-Tian's pill technique constantly flowing above the pill furnace, step by step, without any pause. After a day, Si Chen Qiu-Tian finally threw out some of the impurities from the divine grass. If Ning Cheng had to refine this batch of Heavenly Heaven pills, he would have already finished refining it. However, Ning Cheng knew that there were many alchemy techniques. His method of alchemy combined his understanding of the Tao of alchemy with the Tao charm of heaven and earth. This kind of alchemy had very strict requirements. Not only did the pill furnace and the pill fire need to be powerful, but it also depended on the alchemy master's understanding of the Tao of alchemy. Si Chen Qiu-Tian's alchemy technique and Ning Cheng's alchemy technique were essentially the same. The reason why it was slow was because of their different understandings of the Tao of alchemy. Moreover, there was another alchemy technique that could take several years to refine a batch of Heavenly Heaven pills. This alchemy technique was called pill boiling. There weren't many people who used this pill brewing technique anymore. Especially in the case of the Great Alchemy Competition, who would have the time to watch you brew pills? On the second day, Ning Cheng smelled the fragrance of the Heavenly Heaven pill in the pill furnace. Ning Cheng had refined the heavenly heaven pill before. Therefore, as soon as he smelled this pill fragrance, he knew that Si Chen Chiu Tian's success was imminent. Even Si Chen Chiu Tian felt excited at this moment. He didn't expect that his guess was right. The grand essence realm's heaven and earth laws were incomplete, which caused the heavenly heaven pill to fail. At the beginning of the third day, Si Chen Chiu Tian sped up his pill technique, and the pill charm in the pill furnace surged. 12 white medicinal pills with a tinge of gray fell into a jade bottle on the side. The special grade heavenly heaven pill was milky white in color, but the heavenly heaven pill refined by Si Chen Chiu Tian had a tinge of gray in it. Although there wasn't a single special grade medicinal pill, there were 5 high-grade medicinal pills, 4 middle-grade medicinal pills, and only 3 low-grade medicinal pills. One could say that Si Chen Chiu Tian's batch of medicinal pills was a great success. Congratulations to Association Master for successfully refining a batch of heavenly heaven pills. Ning Cheng immediately stood up and congratulated him with cupped fists. Si Chen Chiu Tian excitedly took out a medicinal pill and looked at it for a while before putting the jade bottle in Ning Cheng's hand. Thank you, Ning Cheng. I'll keep one as a souvenir. Ning Cheng knew that Si Chen Chiu Tian didn't lack these heavenly heaven pills, not to mention that these medicinal pills didn't belong to him. Therefore, he didn't stand on ceremony. He put away the medicinal pills and said, Association Master, even without me, one day Association Master would have successfully refined the heavenly heaven pill here. Si Chen Chiu Tian shook his head. No, if I didn't know you, even if I took out this batch of divine grasses, I wouldn't have been able to refine the heavenly heaven pill. Ning Cheng understood Si Chen Chiu Tian's meaning. Because Si Chen Chiu Tian's alchemy Dao heart was lacking, if he hadn't helped Si Chen Chiu Tian regain his confidence in the alchemy Dao. Even in the Great Change realm, Si Chen Chiu Tian might not have been able to refine such a batch of medicinal pills. The success of this batch of medicinal pills marked the complete disappearance of the pill devil in Si Chen Chiu Tian's heart. The shadow of failing to refine 51 batches of heavenly heaven pills finally faded away. Si Chen Chiu Tian regained his alchemy Dao heart, but Ning Cheng didn't stay idle. He was constantly deducing the alchemy Dao. 10 days passed by in a flash. Ever since Ning Cheng left Lu Fangzhen, he never bothered Ning Cheng again. On the day of the pill competition, Ning Cheng walked out of his room in high spirits. Si Chen Chiu Tian and the others were already waiting outside. Seeing Ning Cheng come out, Si Chen Chiu Tian smiled and said, Let's go to the Alchemy Dao sect. Ning Cheng nodded towards Qianqian and signaled her to follow Protector Ju. He then asked, Association Master Si Chen, why is there someone missing? When Ning Cheng came here, he didn't see Do Jiangshi. Si Chen Chiu Tian's mood was completely different from when he came. After hearing Ning Cheng's words, he smiled, Don't worry about it. He got separated as soon as he came here. I guess he couldn't participate in the pill competition. Ning Cheng naturally didn't believe that a Dao transformation divine emperor would get separated. He also knew why Do Jiangshi left. If Do Jiangshi still had ideas about him before, then after he pointed out Do Jiangshi's possession, Do Jiangshi probably wouldn't dare to have any ideas about him. Later on, he became good friends with Si Chen Chiu Tian and Lu Dongzi. He even had a good relationship with Kong Lianbo. If Do Jiangshi still thought he had a chance, then he would be an idiot. The only thing Do Jiangshi could do now was to stay away and wait until he had the strength to come back in the future. Ning Cheng didn't care about Do Jiangshi's departure. He didn't fear Do Jiangshi now, so he wouldn't fear this zombie in the future. The Alchemy Dao sect wasn't a gate, but a public square. Anyone was welcome to watch the 5 Realms pill competition. When Ning Cheng and the others arrived at the Alchemy Dao sect, millions of people had already gathered here. The Alchemy Dao sect didn't have any spiritual consciousness shielding restrictions. Therefore, no matter how many people there were, they could clearly see everyone's performance in the 5 Realms pill competition. At the top of the Alchemy Dao sect, there was a tall and huge altar. Ning Cheng guessed that this altar was for alchemists to participate in the competition. There were also rows of seats at the back of the huge altar, which were probably for the judges of the pill competition. As alchemists participating in the pill competition, Ning Cheng and the others naturally had a special place to sit. But compared to the other major realms, the Grand Essence realm had the fewest people. Including Ning Cheng and Qianqian, there were only 8 people. Si Chen Qiutian had just sat down with Ning Cheng and the others when a dazzling figure landed on the giant altar in front of them. When Ning Cheng saw this person, he felt a little puzzled because the person standing on the platform was just a teenager. On the surface, this teenager looked even younger than his age. However, Ning Cheng's heart immediately turned cold. Apart from Ancestor Kong, whom he had saved in the past, and the old man from the mysterious Crossing ancient clan, he couldn't see through this teenager's cultivation. The only thing he could feel was that this teenager's Dao charm was boundless and boundless. Chapter 1068. This youth, dressed in luxurious robes, didn't look like an expert. However, Ning Cheng knew that this was a true expert. The youth stood on the giant altar and gave a pill master's salute to everyone on the Alchemy Dao public square. Thank you, the top pill masters of the 5 great realms, for coming here to participate in the 5 realms pill competition. I'm Mu Zhuxiao, the head of the Great Change Realms Pill Gathering and the initiator of the 5 Realms Pill Competition. Mu Zhuxiao's words attracted a burst of cheers. He was young and handsome, had a high cultivation, and was the number 1 in the Pill Dao. He was also the head of the Pill Gathering in the Great Change Realm. If there was a star here, then Mu Zhuxiao was undoubtedly one of the superstars of the Great Change Realm. In fact, every time Mu Zhuxiao appeared, it would attract a lot of cheers. Perhaps it wasn't to chase after a star, but Mu Zhuxiao's achievements were enough to convince anyone. This kind of cheers represented a kind of recognition, a kind of pursuit and yearning. Mu Zhuxiao smiled and spoke calmly. For this 5 Realms Pill competition, we are fortunate to have invited Luing Dao Court's Pill Minister Zhong Hongbai, Cloud Light Dao Court's Pill Minister Pu Lao, Jade Pure Dao Court's Pill Sage Chen Yingxin, Great Mystery Dao Court's Pill Sage Li Mo, and Covering Space Dao Sect's Left Protector Master CZ. Apart from that, there are also the heads of the Pill Gathering from the 5 Great Realms and the various Dao Court's city lords. With Mu Zhuxiao's words, a few figures landed on the judging panel. Si Chen Qiutian, who sat next to Ning Cheng, also stood up and walked to the judging panel. As the head of the Pill Gathering, Si Chen Qiutian was qualified to sit on the judging panel. Ning Cheng felt secretly shocked. He knew the strength of Lu Dongzi, Kong Lianbua, and the middle-aged scholar Lu Fangzhen, who was also a powerhouse. However, Mu Zhuxiao didn't even have the qualifications to say their names. Apart from the 5 Great Dao Courts and 3 Great Dao Sects, those who could be called out by Mu Zhuxiao definitely wouldn't be weak. Ning Cheng soon realized that he wasn't wrong. Among those sitting on the judging panel, there were at least 7 or 8 people who weren't any weaker than mysterious very ancient clans Li Feng. However, Ning Cheng also knew that the experts sitting on the judging panel of the 5 Realms Pill competition weren't the strongest in the entire Great Change Realm. In fact, they couldn't even rank in the top few. The reason why they were able to sit here, other than representing their respective forces, was that they were slightly more outstanding in terms of alchemy. The Grand Change Realm truly deserved to be a grand world with the most complete heaven and earth laws. Even the Grand Essence Realm couldn't compare to the Grand Change Realm in terms of strength. Many years have passed since the start of the 5 Realms Pill competition. Although some talented alchemists have emerged in my 5 grand realms over the years, to be honest, I have never found an alchemist that can truly surpass me. This is my sorrow, and also the sorrow of my 5 grand realms. When Mu Zhuxiao said this, the square seemed to be affected and the cheers quietened down. Ning Cheng whispered to Qianqian beside him, "Qianqian, do you know what's going on?" Qianqian quickly explained, "Senior Mu is the premier pill sage of the 5 grand realms. His attainment in the alchemy Dao has already reached the peak of the 5 grand realms. Even with Senior Mu's high attainment in the alchemy Dao, I heard that he lost to others. Senior Mu made a vow that if the 5 grand realms couldn't find an alchemist that could compete with him, he would never leave the 5 grand realms again. Because of this, Senior Mu decided to hold the 5 Realms Pill competition. As a result, the 5 Realms Pill competition has been held many times, but Senior Mu has never taken a fancy to an alchemist and brought him out to compete in the Alchemy Dao. Everyone in the Grand Change Realm knows about this. Big Brother Ning, you're not from the Grand Change Realm, so it's normal that you don't know about it. Ning Cheng felt secretly horrified. Lu Dongzi and Kong Lianhua's attainments in the Alchemy Dao were top-notch. They had to be primordial chaos pill sages. Mu Zuoxiao's attainments in the Alchemy Dao should have far surpassed Lu Dongzi and Kong Lianhua. If even Mu Zuoxiao's attainments in the Alchemy Dao couldn't compare to the other party, then just how powerful was the other party's attainments in the Alchemy Dao? Mu Zuoxiao continued in a low voice. Originally, we planned to use the Alchemy Dao to determine the winner of this pill competition. But after listening to the Grand Beginning Realm Pill Association's Association Master Lu Dongzi and the Grand Essence Realm's Alchemy Master Ning Cheng, I came up with a new idea. We will decide the winner of this pill competition in 3 rounds, and the first round will also be decided through identification. To prevent outstanding alchemists like Ning Cheng from not being able to recognize them, we won't use names to determine the winner this time. Instead, we'll use the functions of each alchemist to determine the winner. At this point, Mu Zuoxiao paused and glanced at the alchemists who were about to participate in the pill competition before continuing. Unlike before, this time, we don't need to directly identify divine grasses. Instead, we need to identify divine grasses or Dao fruit seeds. If you can't identify them in the first round, no matter how high your attainments in the Alchemy Dao are, you will be directly eliminated. After listening to Mu Zuoxiao's words, the alchemists participating in the pill competition started talking about it in confusion. Some people had high attainments in the Alchemy Dao, but because of their lack of knowledge and experience, they were eliminated. If they couldn't identify a rare divine grass seed, would they be directly eliminated? Would such a selection be fair? Ning Cheng also felt a little puzzled about this selection. If he hadn't seen the universe plants and vegetation, his knowledge and experience would have been the lowest. But Ning Cheng never thought that his attainments in the Alchemy Dao were the lowest. His knowledge and experience were low because he had only been exposed to the Alchemy Dao for a short time. He didn't have the opportunity to come into contact with a top-grade Alchemy Dao divine scroll like the universe plants and vegetation. Mu Zuoxiao didn't change because of the discussions. He still spoke in a calm voice. The Dao of Alchemy is also one of the grand Daos of heaven and earth. Many people here should know what the second spirit technique of the 10 grand spirit techniques in the vast universe is, right? That's right. The second spirit technique of the 10 grand spirit techniques is the grand fate spirit technique. We can also call it fate. If a cultivator in the Dao of Alchemy doesn't have enough fate, then no matter how talented they are in the Dao of Alchemy, their achievements would be limited. Cultivators like us cannot fathom fate. But there are indeed people who can surpass fate and control their fate in their own hands. So what if they can control each other's fate? My master once told me that if I meet a powerhouse who can control someone else's fate, I should run as far as I can. But in a world without a powerhouse who can control fate, the fate of alchemists would be controlled by the heavenly Dao. If you don't even have the fate to touch a top-grade Alchemy Dao divine scroll, then how can you talk about reaching the peak of the Dao of Alchemy? Ning Cheng initially didn't think much of it and felt that Mu Zuoxiao's questions were unfair to many people. But after listening to Mu Zuoxiao's words, he suddenly felt a chill down his spine. Even if he had the mysterious yellow bead, so what if he was powerful? If he met a powerhouse who could control a spirit technique like fate, he wouldn't even be considered as an ant. Mu Zuoxiao's words weren't wrong at all. Even if he didn't meet a powerhouse who could control fate, he couldn't control his own fate. The heavenly Dao controlled it. Cultivating until now, struggling until now, he was still just a small chess piece. Maybe he had an opportunity, maybe he met the mysterious yellow bead and almost perfected his mysterious yellow bead with luck. But this was all his fate. Once he used up all his fate, what would happen to him? Even if he still had his karmic luck, what could he do if he met an expert who could control fate and seize all of his karmic luck? Ning Cheng's mind no longer focused on the pill meat. The first time he heard that the second spirit technique was the grand fate spirit technique, his heart completely lost balance. No matter how strong the fate spirit technique is, it is not the first spirit technique in the primal chaos universe. The person who controls the fate spirit technique also walked step by step like us. Your fate is not in what you want to do, but in how you are prepared to do it. Pill Master Ning has amazing talent. Why bother with a trivial fate? When you are ready to do it, your fate is already in your hands. A gentle and soft voice fell into Ning Cheng's ears. Ning Cheng felt as if he was suddenly enlightened and instantly sobered up. That's right, because he had the mysterious yellow bead, he worried about gains and losses. Didn't those who didn't have the mysterious yellow bead do what they wanted to do? One day in the future, he would also be able to control his fate. Ning Cheng's mind calmed down. Only then did he remember the person who helped him with his Dao heart. He subconsciously looked back. Then he saw Nian with a smile on her face. Nian sat behind him and nodded at him with a smile. Ning Cheng nodded at Nian gratefully. He didn't understand how Nian recognized him, but he didn't put up much of a guard against Nian. No longer worried about encountering a fate spirit technique powerhouse, Ning Cheng once again listened to Mu Zuixiao's words. Although Mu Zuixiao didn't say much, Ning Cheng still felt that Mu Zuixiao was as vast and unfathomable as the sea. Now, the 5 Realms Pill competition officially begins. All participating alchemists, please come to the stage. Grand Change Realm Pill Meets Deputy Association Head Kong Lianbo will set the questions and preside over this pill competition. After Mu Zuixiao finished speaking, his figure flashed slightly, and he immediately sat in the middle of the judge's seat behind the giant altar. Ning Cheng stood up and walked up to the giant altar with the other participants from the Grand Essence Realm. After sitting down in the Grand Essence Realm's alchemist's area on the giant altar, Ning Cheng discovered that more than 300 people participated in the first round of the 5 Realms Pill competition. Out of more than 300 people, the Grand Essence Realm only got 6 spots. One of them was won by him and Lu Dongzi in an alchemy duel. One had to say that this was the sorrow of the Grand Essence Realm's alchemists. In fact, on the giant altar, only 5 people sat in the Grand Essence Realm's area. Even compared to the Grand Ultimate Realm, it was still a pitiful number. Everyone had already gotten used to it. After all, the Grand Essence Realm always had the least number of participants in each pill competition. After the alchemists sat down, Kong Lianbo walked up to the giant altar and said in a clear voice, "The top 10 of this pill competition will be given the 5 Realms Pill Sage Identity card, which will give you the qualification to open a cave in the sacred Cloud Mountain." Ning Cheng didn't know the benefits of the 5 Realms Pill Sage Identity card, nor did he know what it meant to open a cave in the sacred Cloud Mountain. But the other alchemists knew about it. With the 5 Realms Pill Sage Identity card, it meant that one could walk unhindered in the Grand Change Realm. Except for a few powerhouses, no one would dare to point fingers at you. For example, if Ning Cheng had the 5 Realms Pill Sage Identity card, even if Lu Fangzhen had 10,000 times the courage, he wouldn't dare to order Ning Cheng. The Sacred Cloud Mountain was the Pill Meat's premier cultivation sacred land and one of the top 10 cultivation sacred lands in the Grand Change Realm. It wasn't much weaker than the Luiying Dao Pavilion's Dao Crossing Pond. Opening a cave in the Sacred Cloud Mountain was the dream of every cultivator in the Grand Change Realm. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.